Happy Monday, degenerates. Welcome back to the Die Hard MMA podcast. Your host, as always, locked in, got the bucket hat on. We are good to go. It's UFC Winnipeg time. That's right. We are headed to the frozen north. It is UFC Canada fight week. So we have got some of the good old favorites to talk about. You like some Mike Malott. You like a little Charles Jourdain. How about Jasmine? Jasudavicius? We got him. We got them all here on the show today. We are going to break down this card top to bottom, forward and backwards, just for you. There's a reason they call it the Die Hard MMA podcast. We are coming off UFC 327, a week where once again, I'm not wearing my baby blues. I don't even know where that shirt is at this point. It could be incinerated for all we know. You guys, I got to tell you, it's the most frustrating thing in the world to have like 3 weeks in a row where I'm right there. Like, arguably, I should have won the last 3 weeks in a row, and I lost less than a unit on every single one of them. And then I'm like, all right, you know what? This is my week. This is my week. I've just been squeezing by, barely losing. I'm going to hit this one out of the park. And I was this close. I was this freaking close. We're going to do a quick recap of UFC 327 because, frankly, there is a lot to talk about. And buckle in, baby. You may want to skip ahead if you're rewatching this thing to like the 6 or 7 minute mark or something, because I'm going to be bitching. I'm going to bitch a lot about it. What's up, Dream? What's up, Colby? We got the Grateful Dude, Jake. What's up, my friend Mohammed? Half the battle, my guy Dan Levy. How you doing, buddy? Last week's guest, actually, if you guys want to go back and rerun that one, why not? He's a fun dude. Ball gang. What is up, Dixon, my friend? He says, Clint, do you know that Kelvin Gastelum already got in trouble his first day using the deep fryers at McDonald's? He got caught eating the hash browns. Absolutely. I can't. That's one that, you know what? Real quick, before we go any further, I got to tell you guys. So this past weekend, I spent the fights at the local DraftKings. My father-in-law hits me up. He's like, let's go do some shots. We'll do some betting. We'll watch the fights. I'm like, all right, boys night out. Let's go. So we go to DraftKings, and he's like, I need a parlay, Clint. I need a parlay. And I go, okay, no problem. I'm going to go make you the casuals parlay, right? Like, I'm going to go less focused on value and more like, okay, this thing's got to hit. This is for my father-in-law. I could get, disowned from the family. He might not buy my daughter a Christmas gift if I don't hit him his parlay, right? So I'm trying to impress the guy. So I'm sitting there at the kiosk and I'm building the parlay, and I punched on Kelvin Gastelum's name, and I just realized, you know what? This entire fight week, I've never really questioned whether or not Kelvin was going to win this fight. That feels like a mistake. And so the hairs on the back of my neck at the last second stood up, and I went, nah, it's fine. Of course, I didn't have a big bet on Kelvin for my own personals or anything like that. But I just kind of was like, yeah, of course he's going to win. Of course he's going to win. And we just kind of moved on from there. Of course, Luque comes through, and I never even thought about it. So props to anybody who cashed a sub prop or went there, who hit the Darce choke. Like, that was a beautiful bet for anybody that actually pulled that off. The Andy G, what's up? He says, I am a whole kit fan now, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I must say, the guy's fights are absolutely winning me over, but I am never going to be a fan of this shtick, okay? I will tune in to watch him fight, but if he's doing an interview, I'm not watching. What's going on, Ninja? We've got Jake. We've got DFS by the number saying, oi! And if nothing else, that's a little hint for you guys as to who the guest is going to be this week. Pen DGen, what is up? Tiger Nigel Lee, what's up, my friend? How are we doing? The Man Cave, MMA, Louis, Mac Jr., and the diet. What is going on, buddy? Thank you very much for the $2 donation, my friend. What is up, Degens? Appreciate you supporting me and supporting the show. The Outcast Kid coming back, doing a circle back after making me do the whole kid impression. What is up, buddy? I'm not going to read that one out on the screen there, though, because I don't know. I'm too early in the show. I don't want to get flagged for using the wrong word. You guys understand YouTube policies, right? Without further ado, let's bring my friend into the show so we can complain about UFC 327 for a couple of minutes. Your favorite, my favorite, all of our favorite uncles, none other than Wheezy himself. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. You know, those were some interesting fights last night. I had a fun time watching them. Brady and I do a watch along together, and I think we both nearly had heart attacks during the Hokett Blades fight. That fight was one of the best of all time. I mean, I couldn't believe how exciting that fight was, how many momentum shifts there were. The pace that those two heavyweights fought at for 15 minutes was nothing short of remarkable. So there were some, and then we had and I put this on Twitter, we had the worst fight of the year, the most ass fight of the year in Reyes versus Walker, followed up by literally the best fight of the year in Blades Hokett. So we went from completely one end of the spectrum to completely the other. And I mean, Blades and Hokett were probably lucky that there was anyone even left in the arena after the stink fest that Reyes and Walker put on. So I think we should shame Dominic Reyes and Johnny Walker for putting on that kind of a performance outside of the Apex. I mean, people paid for that, but thank Ja that, Hokett and Blades came out there and saved the show. And then, and then we got to see Paulo Costa do something really special and beat Azamat Murzakanov for the first time in his career. And then just an absolutely crazy conclusion to the main event that we will, I'm sure, talk about as well. So looking forward to breaking down last night's fights and this upcoming week's fights with you in the chat today, Clint.
Absolutely. Right back at you, my friend. I'm excited for this one. But like I mentioned, there is some airing of grievances to be had on this card, my guy. So I'm coming in down just shy of 5 units this week, okay? Just shy of 5 units. And I got a lot of shit, okay? I understand you guys. I understand I'm maybe the worst gambler online today, okay? I get it. But this is another situation where the fuck it was right there, Wheezy. I got absolutely hustled with Mikel Medeiros being called a draw. He wins 29-28 on 2 judges' scorecards, and in the third round of a very competitive fight with 0 warning, they take a point for an eye poke. Now, here's the thing. I will say I am all for them enforcing fouls. Yeah. I am all for it. I've been preaching it for years, right? But how many times have we seen the first accidental eye poke? It's a warning, especially if it's non-impactful to the fight. The first cage grab, it's a warning, right? Of course, they crack down when it's my guy that needs to come through for the damn win. So it ends up being a draw. That was very upsetting to me. Obviously, the whole shenanigans with them reading the scorecard wrong to begin with. They called Taco the winner instead of calling it a draw. A lot of people thought Taco won the fight. I'm not here to argue with you about that one, guys. 2 of the judges scored it for Medeiros. I should have cashed a ticket, okay? That's all I'm saying. It was tough.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to say? And then not only that, you tweeted about something that was very relevant, and that's the potential market manipulation that goes along with the prediction markets closing a market before the official result is actually official.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was saying with Brady on the live watch along is that should never, ever, ever happen. It should never happen. That is a mistake that a third grader should not make. You're reading 3 scorecards. One of the fighters won, the other fighter won, or it's a draw. Get it right and read it out. And I mean, I know this might be an extremely foreign subject to some people, but how about maybe somebody else looks at the card so that if a demented Bruce Buffer goes in there and reads the wrong result, that they come running into the cage and they say, no, 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 you moron. You know?
Yeah.
This is the result of the fight. So if I were the head of the FBI, I would immediately have started looking into the prediction markets there, who was heavy on the Padilla side, who profited from betting Padilla there, and whether or not there was any kind of collusion between because either there's collusion or these people are not even intelligent enough to add 10 plus 9 plus 9.
Mm-hmm.
So which is it? Are you that stupid? Or
it's collusion
or
or
is there
corruption
something really shifty going on there? So I personally, I think it stinks. And I bet you anything there were some people that knew that was going to happen and they profited a ton of money from it.
Yep. And here's the thing. Dick's Insider right here says, is Bruce reading them wrong on purpose to cash people tickets? I got to tell you, Weezy. Now, you guys know this is usually like a no politics show, right? We try to stay away from that kind of stuff. I'm going to dip my toe just for a half second. The rise of the prediction markets, if you guys have been watching any current events or anything like that, it's basically legal insider trading at this point. Like, yes, people are making millions of dollars with these prediction markets because some asshole has an uncle who's in office or has a certain phone number of somebody who knows a thing or two, and they're making these bets off things that are not announced, shouldn't be happening, and lo and behold, all of a sudden at the 9th hour, everyone's asleep, the markets are closed, and shit goes down and somebody made millions of dollars. It's happening all over the place right now. And as you guys saw, Dana White is best buddies with, Grandpa Trump. So now the prediction markets are directly sponsoring the UFC. Let me switch hats. The prediction markets are directly sponsoring the UFC now, you guys. So we have now had not one, but 2 incorrect cards in just the last couple of weeks where people have made hundreds of thousands of dollars because they read the card incorrectly. Yeah. I can't remember in my 7 years worth of podcasting, in my 15 years worth of MMA fandom, I can't recall this happening more than once, Weezy. And now it's happened twice in the matter of weeks. And yeah, they come out on the broadcast afterward and they're like, oh, no harm, no foul. Sorry, guys. We fixed it. We corrected it. We read it the right way. It's no big deal. But we have 2 brand new millionaires in the last 2 weeks because this shit keeps happening with these prediction markets. Guys, I think it's going to happen more often, and you can't prove it. So people are going to keep doing it. I have I guarantee you this shit's going to keep happening because now that the prediction markets are involved, people are making money doing it.
Yeah, Clint, I used to work on the floor of the Chicago Stock Exchange as a specialist. I've been the victim of market manipulation. It's actually happened to me on the floor of the exchange. And these kind of things, they're very easy to find. If somebody's manipulating markets, I promise you, if somebody earnest and capable is investigating the numbers, the forensic financial auditing, is going to find it, And we're not talking about the bookies refunding your Medeiros bets or your Padilla.
No, they'll do that correctly.
About the prediction markets, which paid out Chris Padilla as the winner of that fight. And it was a very simple mistake that easily could have been avoided with just simple competence or simple, having some kind of a process where 2 or 3 people check the results of the fight, add up the judges' scorecards, and maybe even get the judges in a little huddle and be like, is this 29-28 in favor of this fighter? And you actually get them to say who they picked so that we can find out these things and know them immediately when they happen right away. So, I've seen these things happen before, and I promise you that there's probably somebody that profited a ton of money from both times that this has happened since these prediction markets have started paying out fighters that weren't winners.
Absolutely. And so that's where, let's see. So Jeff is saying MGM changed it to a push pretty quickly. And that's the thing. The regulated sports books will. The bookies are going to do it the right way. They will take the money back if it was graded incorrectly. They will change it from a push to a win if they need to. The bookies are not going to be involved in this. It's just the prediction markets. It's the guys who bought in when it hit 0%, when the line crashed because they know the wrong guy got announced the winner, or in this case, it got called a draw rather than being called a victory. People investing in that 10-minute gap are the ones who are just making piles of money due to this issue. And Jake is 1,000% correct here. The rise of the corruption that we've seen with this stuff, honestly, you guys, I'm a diehard. I'm having fun with it. That's my whole thing, right? I'm not a professional gambler, but it is making capping extremely hard. We are seeing crazy results like we've never seen before. And it's making it really difficult to bet money on this sport. I mean, guys, another one. Like, since we're on the topic, Wheezy, I just want to make mention of this because I'm still airing my grievances from 327. I firmly believe that Nate Landwehr took a dive. He is either completely 1,000% shot and should not have been cleared by a doctor to be in that fight because he was running scared from the opening bell, or they paid him not to throw a whole lot of punches because he was frozen like a leaf, backpedaling the whole time, doing this. Like, I've never seen Nate Landwehr fight that way in my entire life. And especially against a 42-year-old Cub Swanson. I'm sorry. He's been hit harder. Like, I can't fathom Nate fighting the way that he did that night. I'm fine losing my bet that, if he got knocked out fair and square, whatever. But that looked like a work job to me too.
Well, I can tell you 100% he got knocked out fair and square because I bet on Cub Swanson KO, and there's no way that Landwehr faked it because I cashed the Swanson KO. But yeah, I was surprised. I really was surprised. Cub really ran through him like he was Darren Elkins. I remember when he did that to Darren, and it was the same thing this time. So, Nate is 38 years old. Cub's 42, but Cub had just been fighting at a little bit higher of a level coming into that fight. So I thought, and then with it being his, a retirement fight, sometimes you think like you might get that Nico Price treatment that Robbie Lawler got on the way out, and the Nico Price treatment that Michael Chiesa got on the way out. So you never know, man. I don't know exactly what I don't think. I mean, Nate took some serious shots there, man. If he took a dive there, he sold it pretty good.
Yeah. Well, and the other part of that, though, when I say fixed, in this case, I'm saying they put him in there knowing full damn well he was compromised. You know what I mean? Like, not fixed. Like, Nate didn't get the money in his pocket, but like
a soft fix.
A soft fix. We know you can't take a punch right now, but we'll pay you an extra 10 grand to get in there anyway. That kind of fix. All over the place, man. So running back through this thing, we already kind of touched on the first three fights. You got your ass shaving of the week with Radke. Congratulations. I loved your nickname of Francisco Fraudo. That's fantastic. I kept hoping he would turn the corner and wake up and be something there, but damn, dude, that was a tough look. So congratulations on that one. I was a little frustrated because Loopy looked like she was going to knock out Tati in the first minute of that fight.
God, she hurt her bad.
I was all set and ready to cash that underdog ticket on that one, man. But big body Tatiana Suarez pulled it off. Good to see her actually get a finish. I wrote her off as being kind of shot. So seems like she's still got a little juice in the tank, and the same could be said, almost identical for the next fight. I bet Esteban Ribovics trying to poach Mateusz Gamrot. He did the exact same damn thing, even down to the round, right? He pulled off the round 2 sub against Esteban as well. These old ass beefy wrestlers still doing the damn thing, apparently. Did you have anything on either of those?
Yeah, dude. Esteban Ribovics ruined my week. I had the first bet I made of the week was Ribovics 2 units on the finish only, because like Gamrot's just not really a finisher. He's a minute winner, a top time guy. You have to make a pretty big mistake to get submitted by Mateusz Gamrot. And yeah, I mean, and then I also liked Ribovics' money line because I like this guy's get up game. He always gets back up when he gets taken down, and he shows urgency to get back to his feet. But those takedowns that Mateusz was getting, it showed a levels thing there. One of the things I do in my fight write-ups and with my stats package is I've created a proprietary strength of schedule ranking that can just give you a really good look at how much somebody's taking a step up in the fight. And Ribovics and Hokett were the 2 biggest steps in competition this week, and one of them actually won in Hokett. And then the guy that I backed taking the step up in competition, not only did he lose, but like he didn't win a minute of that fight. Like Gamrot just ran through him. So I wound up actually losing 3.5 units on Ribovics between a half-unit decision prop, a 1-unit money line bet, and a 2-unit finish-only prop, which, was like the thing that just destroyed my week, because otherwise I had a pretty decent week.
Yeah, for sure. Woof, man. I almost went in on Kevin Holland, just that whole, okay, everyone's off the train, time to get on it type of thing. I got my father-in-law to bet it, so they cashed a ticket. I did not. I feel like a genius, and I wish I had gone harder, Wheezy. The one spot, the bright, shiny moment in my weekend, Aaron Pico over 2.5 takedowns. It was easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and they ended up grading him for 6. He got 6 takedowns. I talked about the ladder. I didn't do it. I talked about betting Pico by decision. I didn't do it. I played it safe because he could have got knocked out even after getting those 2 takedowns, and I still would have cashed a ticket. So I played it a little cowardly, but I got it. That was my best bet for the week. My boy Dan Levy put his usual tweet up where he asks, what's the best bet to make? And that's the one that I went with. So happy to hit that one. We talked about Cub and Nate. We touched on Johnny Walker and Dom Reyes. The two guys just kind of picking and poking at each other for 15 minutes, which was embarrassing. Happy to be on the right side of the decision for that one. I needed it. Wheezy, I beat the line move by a mile. I got in at -135 on Dom Reyes. He closed like -240, which I was like, oh, dear God. That's CLV curse has me shaking in my boots.
It's real. Yeah.
I never cash that ticket. I never do my job that well and actually walk away with my hand raised.
Dude, when you get that much CLV, the one thing you know for sure is that Vegas needs the other side. And it's like there's a little bit of a club that can actually influence the result of fights. And like George Carlin said, we're not in it. So when you get that big time CLV, man, it can be terrifying.
Absolutely. Shout out my guy, the Diet, once again with another $2 dodo, and there's a reason for it. He's flush with cash betting on Kevin Holland. He said, I was on Holland's submission and round 2. You were so close, my friend. He was so deep in a choke. He had him dead to rights. When his foot got caught, Wheezy, I thought it was over.
Yeah, dude, when your foot gets caught in that, it's over. And like that's Holland. He knows how to finish that. And I was like, when we were watching that live, I'm like, this dude has gills. Yeah. What is he doing? How is he making it through this, man?
I think it's the curse of the long arms, Wheezy, because they're good to get that choke. But his opponent in this case was a fellow lanky, skinny bastard. There was too much space. I don't think he could get it tight enough because of how long his opponent was, which is rare. He's not used to fighting other guys that are long and skinny like that. So
he's got a narrow ass neck.
Just probably just a miscalculation and a space issue. Tyga asking, what is CLV? My friend, that is closing line value for anybody else who didn't know. If you bet something and then the line moves, you always want to be on the side that's cheaper, right? So if you bet at -130 like I did, and then it moves to -150, you now have closing line value. It's a real good way for people like us to claim victory after losing a bet, because we feel like we got the best number, right? It didn't pay off, but getting the best number is the whole point. If you consistently get the best number on your bets, eventually it'll make a difference. It'll turn you a profit if you just keep putting yourself in the right spot over and over and over again. But it hurts way worse when you lose. If Dom had not gotten the split decision and people were parlaying him at -210, I would have felt like a genius at -130, but it would have hurt that much more.
Exactly. Right.
Holkett legitimizing himself, 9-0, broke Curtis Blade's face. I mean, I'm just happy Curtis didn't go out, because the chinny accusations, he kind of fought through that to make sure he didn't go under in that fight, but they put on an absolute banger. There were moments I thought Curtis had hurt Josh Holkett too. So it was a back and forth slobber knocker, man. That was fight of the year so far, I think, Wheezy. What about you?
I mean, fight of the year, probably, already, and maybe the best heavyweight fight of all time. I heard somebody else bring up, and I remember this one. It was a banger. It was Bigfoot Silva and Mark Hunt. Those guys killed each other 4 or 5 different times in the cage. I remember that one. And we always, whatever the most recent one is, that's the tendency to the one be like, people like, oh, that was the best one ever. But man, that was arguably one of the biggest steps up in competition that a young fighter has ever taken. And to put on the show that he put on, win that fight after he looked like he was on death's door going back to his stool after round 1, comes out and wins round 2 and rounds 3. And not only that, almost finishes Blades at the beginning of round 1. I mean, Josh Hokett, it's time to give this man his flowers. This guy is the real deal. He's got elite athleticism for this division, and he's showing that he's willing to fight at a blistering pace. That, and I'm telling you right now, the way that Blades stood up to that, he's going to break everybody else in the division with that pace. Yeah. There's not anybody else that's going to be able to keep up with that pace, period. So you're going to have to touch him and get him out of there. You're going to have to land a big knee, a big elbow in the clinch, a big uppercut as he comes in. You're going to have to put this dude out in order to beat him, because his heart is as big as a truck, and his conditioning and desire to win are just phenomenal. And you just don't see that at heavyweight. Weezy,
frankly, I think people are going to forget he can wrestle. I think when he goes up against somebody soon, we're going to see takedowns and people are going to go, shit. Because we're also used to this round 1 whirlwind. And then he's going to take somebody down and beat him up that way. So watch out. Let's see Derek Lewis up next. We'll see how that goes. Apparently, they added that fight. Dana White sitting next to Trump. Trump said, get my favorite fighter on the card. That's Derek Lewis, for those of you guys who don't know. And Holkett from the hospital bed said, sure, baby, let's run it. We'll see if he gets medically cleared. But they're trying to assassinate Derek Lewis at the White House, apparently. Then we have my biggest regret of the evening, Wheezy. I talked forward and backward all week that Paulo Costa could cause problems for Azamat Murzakanov in this fight, and I just didn't have the balls to bet it because I can't trust Paulo, man. He's a guy that I don't ever want to have my money on at this stage. You never know what the fuck he's going to do. He's been really disappointing for the last couple of years, so I didn't pull the trigger on it. He looked like $1 million. He looked like a -300 favorite. He beat up Azamat. Azamat couldn't close the distance, couldn't find the space. Paulo with that body and head kick combo was just eating this dude alive. Best performance he's had in years, Wheezy, since the Yoel Romero fight.
No question about it. I had a full unit on Murzakanov by KO, and Murzakanov had a great second round. He definitely lost the first, but Paulo Costa was moving beautifully. He was not letting Murzakanov explode into range and land those big shots, and great body kicks that Murzakanov, when you're throwing heavy kicks to the body and the head like that, you can't counter him. So he was doing really good. Paulo normally throws way more volume than he did against Murzakanov, but you could tell he knew how to fight Murzakanov, how to win the minutes against him, how to limit his abilities to be able to land those big shots. And even though he lost the second round, I thought he put on a phenomenal performance.
It was awesome. It was great to watch. You know, maybe he is just meant for 205. Maybe Azamat was not that guy, and we'll see what his next fight looks like. He said he's got one fight left on his contract. He wants the title. Shocker. He's he's basically the 205 version of like Kamaru Usman at this point. He wants one mediocre win and then a shot at the title.
Yep, so, there you go. Get it.
I don't know if he's going to get it, but we'll see. There's a lot of moving parts right now. Who knows? Because what happened in the main event may set him up, man. Yuri and Olberg, just the dumbest thing I've ever seen, Wheezy. Olberg has a brutal, horrific, unfortunate accident, blows his ACL out. I got to tell you, Yuri looked really good up until that point in the fight, Wheezy. He was controlling the space very well. He was avoiding the big damaging shots. I mean, not a lot had happened at that point, but it looked like Yuri knew the assignment, right? He was staying away from that left hand. And then as soon as the knee went, you could tell Olberg could barely stand. He was buckling. He couldn't get up. Like anytime they moved suddenly, he was reaching for the cage to like balance himself. And instead of doing something, Yuri started screaming at him. Yuri starts Max Hollowaying with pointing at the floor. Like he literally said, okay, I've got the title locked up. It's in a box. All I got to do is touch this guy a couple more times and it's mine. And instead he went, you know what? Let's give this guy a chance to hurt me. Yeah. Let's give this guy a chance on one leg to do exactly what he needs to do. to win this fight. Instant regret. So he gets KO'd immediately. Huge left hook from Carlos Ulberg. And Jiri gets on the microphone afterward, and you could just see it written all over his face that he knew he had fucked up. I'm embarrassed for Jiri, honestly. I'm pissed off that I had a bet, but it was really funny because my father-in-law sitting next to me for the fights, we all had money on Jiri. Yeah. And when he started screaming at him, he looks at me and he goes, "What is he doing?"
Yeah,
and
I know, man.
Weezy, I knew right away. I went, he doesn't want to hurt. Yeah. He doesn't want to win that way. He doesn't want to win over a hurt opponent. And he looks me dead in the eyes and he goes, "I hope he gets knocked out." 10 seconds later, he didn't care about the money. It was about sending a message. So props to all you Ulberg backers. That's one you guys need to thank your lucky stars. You know, make sure you do a ritual sacrifice to the gambling gods, because I don't know that you should have gotten that one after the knee blew off, but I'm glad you guys cashed tickets at least. Weezy, did you get hurt by that one?
Oh God, it might have prevented the biggest win I've ever had as a gambler. I had something like 560 DraftKings points going into the final fight with Jiri Prochazka as my final fighter, and he was literally one leg kick away from a first round knockout with a knockdown, or not with a knockdown, but it wound up being like 180 point swing. Instead of me scoring 100 points, everybody that had Ulberg scored 100 points. And I think I would not have been optimal, but I would have had the second or third highest scoring lineup on the big tournament where you're going to win a couple $1,000 just for being there. And then I put one lineup into like a ton of different contests, and like if Jiri finishes that fight, I'd probably finish with something like 670 DraftKings points out of 6 players, and probably would have won thousands of dollars. So like when he started pointing at the ground, I just started screaming, "What are you doing? What are you doing? This guy's on one leg. Go kick his leg." You know, I could not believe it. It tore the ass right out of me. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was just, oh God, that was pain. That was true pain.
I understand, my friend. Now, that was the cusp of my fight, you guys, because like I mentioned at the top of this thing, I'm down 4.8, I think. So like just less than 5 units. If I had gotten paid the 3 units I was owed for the Medeiros win, if they hadn't bullshitted me with that point deduction, and then if Jiri hadn't done this, I know these are, ifs and buts, close as only, fair, and hand grenades and horseshoes. But really, I should have won, right? Like, if I got my win from Medeiros and if I had got my win from Jiri, it's a positive night for me. So it looks bad that I'm down almost 5 units. But the reality is I should have walked away with cash, Wheezy. So I'm pissed off. I got a chip on my shoulder, and we're headed to Canada. So let's get into this thing, because I need to make some of this shit back. First off, ladies and gentlemen, please, this week's show is brought to you by RotoWire.com. If you are serious about gambling, if you are a bettor, if you play DFS, then you need RotoWire in your life. It's got betting tools, it's got odds markets, it's got picks, it's got analysts. You can see the sharp money, you guys. This is the sharp money tool, and this is what it looks like. You can absolutely see the average price across multiple books. You can see when the sharp money came in, at what number they mark it, where it came from. You can see where the sharp action is hitting. So if you want to tail sharper bettors, if you want to tail long-term profitable winners, you can do that using RotoWire.com. Please get signed up. When you do, use promo code DIEHARD for a 10% discount off your subscription. The links are in the description of the video below. This is UFC Winnipeg. I am joined by Uncle Weezy. You can find all of his information below as well. Social media handles, of course, his YouTube channel where he does an amazing show breaking these fights down himself. But we are going to get into this card, so buckle up. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the show with your grandma, please. I know she likes MMA. First fight of the night, we have got Siraj, and he's taking on Yannis. A couple of guys you've never heard of, Weezy. Interesting fight here to start our evening. Jamey is the Gremlin, and I actually really love that fight name. I'm not gonna lie, I'm loving the Gremlin. He is the local flavor. He is from Canada. He is 14-3. He is 31 years old, training out of TriStar, and we all have a very healthy respect for TriStar these days when it comes to the fight game. The problem with this guy, Wheezy, is I think he's just complete ass. He's a BJJ black belt, and his entire run in MMA is ass pulls. I'm not kidding. You go watch his last 3 fights in a row, okay? So in 2025, this guy gets knocked out by Diego Brandao. That's right. UFC dropout and washed fighter Diego Brandao is the last loss on this guy's resume. Spinning heel kicked him in the fucking head. Knocked him out clean in the first round. So if that tells you where we're getting started, he's had a soft level of competition basically from before that. I mean, this guy is like 8-2 and he's fighting 4-0 and 3-1 guys. His last 2 fights, you guys, you go watch his last 2 videos. Back-to-back rear naked chokes. He's got 7 wins. Wheezy, 6 of them are rear naked chokes. He is a specialist. This guy looks to get into range. He wants to take your back. And once he does that, he has very, very good chokes. He's got an insanely tight squeeze on him. But both Gustavo Eric and Donnie Montos were whooping his ass. He's accepting bottom position. He's fishing for heel hooks. He's rolling for his life. He's slow and clunky on the feet. His boxing is designed to do one thing, and that's to get his mitts on you. He wants to press you up against the cage, body lock you, and then trip you or drag you to the mat in some way. And if you hurt him, he's turtling. He's pulling guard immediately, Wheezy. He will go to his back and he will take damage for the hope, for the prayer that one day he will find his way to your back. You know, I think it was the Gustavo Eric fight where this dude is ground and pounding him. It's deep in the second round. He's stuck on his back. He can't get up. Yeah. And Gustavo is beating the daylights out of him. He goes for just the biggest wind-up I've ever seen in my life. And this guy skirts off to the side just enough that the punch misses. Gustavo straight up flips himself onto his side. You guessed it. He takes his back. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, a decent level mixed martial artist is just never going to give you that opportunity. Never. But he somehow is gifted a back take on this guy and chokes him out about 10 seconds later. You cannot let him get your back. John Yannis is 9-4. He's 31 years old, and he has already made it to the UFC, you guys. He came in, I believe, on short notice, and his welcome was against our boy Austin Bashi. Shout out Austin Bashi, Spectation Sports fighter. Can't wait to see that guy in the cage again. A very special talent. But guess how he lost his UFC debut, Easy?
Well, I know that what Bashi does, he just grapples, you know.
But if you had to guess a method by way Bashi beat this guy, do you have any idea what it was?
I know it was submission, but I didn't watch the fight yet, so I don't remember what it was.
It was a rear naked choke, Wheezy.
Okay,
they are setting this man up in Canada. You guys, Jamey is complete ass. John is a fun fighter to watch. He bangs, he bites down on the mouthpiece, and he wings hooks, but he can't stop takedowns. He gives up back. Jamey sucks, Wheezy, but he's winning this fight by rear naked choke.
Yeah, man, and like I watched the tape on Siraj right before the show here. I really wasn't familiar with the Gremlin, but you can watch this guy's tape and be very comfortable with who he is as a fighter. He's going to grapple you, man. He's going to close the distance. He's going to grapple you, and it doesn't really matter if he's in top position or bottom position. He's going to continue to work. He's going to make you grapple him. And I'll tell you one thing about Jamey Siraj is that this guy's conditioning is absolutely phenomenal. It's phenomenal. When he fought Namat Abdrashitov, he finished him in the last minute of the 5th round, and he was putting a pace on that dude for the entire 5 rounds. Up and down, reversals, takedown attempts, stuffing takedowns, striking exchanges. Full 25 minutes. This guy absolutely has the ability to get better as the fight goes on. Like you said, Iraq kicked his ass for everything but like 10 seconds of that fight. He made one mistake and it was over. And that's a thing like with Siraj is that he doesn't even need to fully get to your back. He can finish with that choke if he even gets a hint of your back. It's really weird. He locks it in, and these guys are tapping immediately. It's not like it's a blood choke where it takes time. These guys are going out immediately, and they're tapping as soon as he gets his arm underneath their neck. So Siraj is going to take John and just take him down and force this dude to grapple. And from what I've seen from John, he's not going to be able to do shit about it. I mean, like I've watched this guy get out grappled in his last fight, and I'm like, oh my God, they're giving him to Bashi? Like, that's going to be such an easy win. And I mean, the market knew it was going to be that. He was priced as plus 635 versus Bashi. So this is another guy that's going to grapple him, and it doesn't look like Yannis has the ability to be able to stop that. And yeah, I mean, you know what Yannis means in Greek?
No, I don't.
John.
Oh.
Yeah, this guy's name is John.
His name is John?
His name is John. Yannis is Greek. I got several uncles named Yannis. They're all John. You know, like John Yannis. I'm like that's a nickname, right? You know, but evidently that's his last name. I mean, like, either his parents aren't Greek and they got this name somehow, or they got really good senses of humor. Because John, but you know, like the UFC matchmakers don't have a sense of humor as far as John is concerned, because this is the second straight guy that's going to stick to him like stink on shit and make him do something he's really not comfortable doing, and that's grappling.
Okay. Yeah, Wheezy, this is a tough one for me. We've just got to be well aware of the kind of treatment these guys get in the UFC when they roll up to Canada. The UFC likes Canada. The UFC is desperate for some Canadian stars. You know, it's been a while really since they've had some star power in Canada. We're still stringing along Jazz and Mike Malott, right? They're the ones leading the charge. So the UFC is doing everything they can to get some of these Canadians wins. And I got to show you guys something just real quick here. I'm going to show you my notes, okay? I wrote this in all bold letters when I was doing a lot of breakdowns on this card. Do not fade shit with shit, because Wheezy, that is what I'm known for. That is what I am guilty of pretty much constantly. I see these weaknesses on these guys and I'm like, oh, I gotta bet that. And it's just a bad fighter versus a bad fighter. So I end up making a poor IQ bet. Even though there's somebody who I want to fade, it's not the right person to fade them with, etc. I'm gonna have to do this one, Wheezy. I don't know. Yannis is, let's see here. Jamey is minus 256 right now, is what I'm seeing here for him. And frankly, I just want to bet the sub prop. Like, he's gonna submit this guy. I have zero question in mind. I wouldn't even care if I had to lay juice. I don't know how, but somehow, some way, it looks like they're actually giving us a little bit of plus money. I'm curious what this will look like when DraftKings and FanDuel get their hands on it. But he's submitting this guy, Wheezy. This is the low-hanging fruit for the week. I have zero question in mind that he's going to submit this guy.
Yeah, I mean, Siraj 7-1 to the submission. John Yannis 0-2 to the submission. So I mean, it's all. Like, that's when the stats are going to give you some very clear information about how these fighters win and lose fights. And if you watch the tape on Yannis, you don't just have to look at the stats. You know that this guy loses minutes when he gets grappled.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. So that one's pretty obvious to me there. I'm probably going to find a way to use him one way or the other. Maybe moneyline parlay, maybe the sub prop. But he should win this fight, and I think it's set up for him to do exactly that. The next fight, though, we've got Sexy Mexi John Castaneda taking on Mark Vologdin. This is a weird one, Wheezy. So I feel bad. Sexy Mexi, no UFC Mexico for you, son. They're flying you up to Canada where you get to freeze your balls off and fight this kid instead. We all know John Castaneda at this point, 34 years old. He is 21-8, 3-3. In his last 6 fights, he's on a 2-fight skid, which is highly unfortunate. He lost the War of Leg Kick Kings against Gutierrez by split decision in the last fight. Shocker. Kind of feels a little bit like Johnny Walker and Tom Reyes did, right? A couple guys that are going to do nothing but kick each other, and the judges have no clue whose hand to raise at the end of it. He's a strong mid-tier fighter. He's a strong gatekeeper in the UFC. Losses to guys that are on the rise, right? Nathaniel Wood, Daniel Marcos, guys like that. He's beating most everybody else, guys that are new to the UFC. You guys are hanging on to a roster spot. He's better than them. He's a bit low volume, but he's got really good boxing. Strong leg kicks. We already mentioned that. He hits pretty hard. Doesn't really have like fight-ending crucial power. He has opportunistic submissions. He's dangerous and sneaky fast on the mat. He's going to be bigger here, Weezy, and that's something that I think matters a little bit. He's going to be 3 inches taller, and Sexy Mexi is not used to being the taller man in his fights. He also is going to have a crazy 6-inch reach advantage, and that's because Mark Vologdin is a weird case. He's basically like he's like an office mini fridge. He's not a heavyweight, so I can't call him a refrigerator. He's like one of those little mini fridges you keep next to your desk. He's got these stubby little arms. His torso, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen, Weezy. He's got this wide, broad torso. He's built like a man who should weigh 185 pounds, but the rest of him is tiny. He's 25 years old. He's making his UFC debut, and he lost an absolute banger on Dana White's Contender Series, guys. That's why he is here. This kid went to war on Dana White's Contender Series. Both guys were bleeding. Both guys were getting rocked all over the place. It was exactly the kind of thing Dana wants to see. So even though he lost a close decision in that fight, the UFC said, come on over here, buddy. We'll get you your debut anyway. He's quick. He's really fast. He does have a okay reach, and he makes it work for himself the way he kind of blasts into the pocket. Everything is like all the way extended so he can reach his opponents because he's always smaller than everybody. He seems almost like a short Daniel Cormier, Weezy. Like, even though he is way too small for this weight class, because of the way his body is framed, I don't know if he could cut an extra 10 pounds to get down a weight class. He does the Michael Chandler thing where you can see every vein in his body when he cuts weight. Yeah. He really is trying to like suck himself down as much as he possibly can. He counters leg kicks. Getting tongue-tied here. Counters leg kicks very well. He does the straight punch thing where he can get to you a little bit faster than the kick does, and he's always throwing in combos. He's got good cardio. He's got good heart. He's been chin-checked. Seems like a fun fighter. 6 wins by knockout, 4 wins by sub, but he's 2-3 in decisions, Weezy. When he gets extended, things don't seem to go too well for him. I'm not quite sure what to make of this kid, if I'm being honest with you, Weezy. We have a coin flip. John Castaneda is minus 118. Mark is minus 102. Your underdog making you pay just a little bit of chalk on that number. I have to lean with Sexy Mexi here, Weezy, and I'm looking for a good reason not to bet him. I know every once in a while he can get like flash knocked out or flash rocked. The chin is a little bit of a concern. But being longer and larger, he's got my respect as a gatekeeper in the UFC. I don't know that Mark is the dude. I think he's too small. But is this a trap? Because I always step right into the bear trap, Weezy. Is even money on a known product like John Castaneda the trap this week? Talk to me. Help me figure this out, because that's the very first line that jumped out to me this week. I haven't clicked it yet, but my finger is itchy.
Yeah, and I could see why, because this guy Vologdin, he is a finisher, and he's going to be fighting on his birthday. And, the people will know that is something that can be plus EV sometimes. So we got Vologdin turns 26 years old on the 18th, which is the day that he's going to be fighting John Castaneda. And John Castaneda, we haven't seen in a year. This is a long layoff for John, and he's already a 34-year-old bantamweight who has struggled to make weight on a number of different occasions. But even though John is of Mexican descent, believe me, he's a Minnesota boy. He knows all about the cold. He knows all about the flat plains that he's going to see over there in Manitoba, in Winnipeg. So yeah, I think that Castaneda and Vologdin, formerly from Russia and Finland and training in Sweden, he knows a little bit about the cold as well. So Vologdin's a karate striker, and because he's 5'3" with a 65-inch reach, you would think, looking at those numbers, that this dude has problems closing distance. He absolutely doesn't. He's very tricky in his ability to be able to close that distance, and he does it without taking massive risks. It's because he can throw kicks. It's because he's got good timing, and he's got good eyes. So I like some things on the Vologdin side. First of all, I mean, he's 8.5 years younger than this guy. So, that is statistically significant right off the bat. Castaneda, though, big strength of schedule advantage, big pro experience advantage, big UFC experience advantage. And when this guy is priced as a favorite, he's 3-1 in the UFC with a 31% ROI. But the problem is he's on a 2-fight losing streak coming into this fight, while Vologdin is bringing a lot more momentum. He was on a big winning streak going into that fight on Dana White's Contender Series, where, I mean, like, that was just an absolute war, and he put on a good show, but he lost at the end of the day. So also with Castaneda, you have to worry about the wrestling. This guy can absolutely wrestle and find submissions on the mat if you make a mistake on the ground against him. So I worry about Vologdin at this level. Maybe being 5'3" with a 65-inch reach isn't going to be great for stuffing takedowns. You know, you can kind of get out physical by a lot of these bantamweights. And I remember after one of Vologdin's fights, when I'm hearing him on the mic, you know, he's talking about, you know, he could go to 125 as well. He goes, I don't care, 125, 135, I'll fight in either weight class. So when you're a tweener like that, that's fine on the regional scene. You come up to the UFC where guys are all cutting a ton of weight and where size does matter. I think that could be a problem for Vologdin here. So I have to lean with the more experienced guy, the more tested guy, the more well-rounded fighter. And without question, I think that Castaneda has the better pocket boxing here. But Vologdin has a ton of power, and he's tricky, and he's better than you think he's going to be at distance. He's a lot better than people think he's going to be.
It's an intriguing fight. It's a really interesting fight. I'm going to have to sit on it for a minute, man. Tim had a good point that Sexy Mexi can probably grapple in this fight, and I think that's probably true. But the speed and the cardio does concern me a little bit. And I've always been wary of Sexy Mexi's chin. We've seen him get rocked and bonked a couple different times. And if this kid is just too fast for him, which is entirely possible, I could see him getting rocked up in this fight. So lean Sexy Mexi, but not confident enough to put my money on it at this point, you guys. That's kind of where I'm sitting. We'll have to sit with it just a little bit. I don't know what to make of this Mark kid just yet. Let's move on. Next up, we have got Mitch Raposo taking on Allan Nascimento. First things, I have to get credit where it's due, Wheezy. You guys know I champion the spectation sports fighters, right? We want to cheer for our boys. We want them all to do well. Well, Mitch Raposo is a spectation guy. And in his last fight, I called him dead on arrival, Wheezy. I was like, this is a execution. This is worst case scenario. I really pronounced him dead at the scene the second they announced the fight. I was so big on Azat Maxim. I was really high on that guy. I was convinced he was going to be something in the UFC. Props to Mitch Raposo because he is tough. He is gritty. He can box. He's got a chin. He's another guy with a heart that just won't quit. And he went out there and did the damn thing. He posted me on his Instagram and mocked me publicly for my take after he got the win, and deservedly so. I really shortchanged the guy, and I had been cheering for him since he got to the UFC, and I bailed at the wrong time. So, Mitch, that is my bad. And I want to see him keep winning, Wheezy. I really do. The problem is Allan Nascimento is a fucking freak. This guy is a size bully. He is massive at this weight class. He's 34 years old, so he's getting a little bit up there. I'm not sure how much longer he'll be able to make this cut, by the way. He's already had a couple of weight scares. He missed against Rafael Filo. One of the big things with me with Allan Nascimento is he gasses out. He does slow down. He really rides out that round 3 with control time if he can't get you out of there. But he's a filthy submission fighter, Wheezy. He tapped out Cody Durden in round 2. He got Carlos Hernandez out of there in round 1. I mean, you go back to his regional shows and he's just tying people into pretzels. He's extremely good. He can wet blanket you if he needs to, but if you leave him an opening, he will take your neck. He will tap you out. Now, going back, he fought Jake Hadley, and he basically had to wet blanket Jake Hadley, which I feel like that's a bit of a red flag. Like, I kind of feel like he should have won that fight inside the distance if he was going to. Same thing with Rafael Filo. Now, Filo, you guys, has my respect. Filo is a beast. So him hanging on for dear life and doing what he's got to do to win a fight like that, I don't really find any issue with. My problem here is I just don't know if he's going to be threatened by the striking of Mitch Raposo. We've seen Mitch have trouble grappling before. We've seen him get taken down. We've seen him get submitted. So I worry just a little bit that that's going to be an issue. Common opponent, you guys. I just mentioned Jake Hadley. That was Mitch's first attempt on Dana White's Contender Series. He fought Jake Hadley and he got choked out in round 2. Long time ago, 2021. He's obviously better than that now, so I do want to go ahead and give him credit for improvements and things like that. He's not the same guy, but Mitch is knocking people out pre-UFC, right? He's got 4 KO wins. In the UFC, he's a split decision machine. He's fighting closely with everybody. He's showing off his heart. He's hanging in there in fights. He's making it dirty. He's making it close. But he's not knocking anybody out, Weezy. He's not putting a stamp on it. He's not killing anybody at this level. I don't know if he's got the tools to really scare Allan Nascimento. No. I don't know if he's got what it takes to back this guy off. Now, if Nascimento cooks himself, Mitch round 3 is going to be super live, you guys. He could get a late finish with Nascimento just being exhausted. I want to see them face off, Weezy. I want to see how he sizes up because that's a big thing in this fight. If Nascimento is just like towering over him, I want nothing to do with it. If he can hang physically, that'll be kind of the kicker for me. It's favored or pass. And I'm very tempted on the Nascimento submission prop at this point, just because I don't know what Mitch is going to do to stop him.
Yeah, I mean, like Mitch Raposo, I was surprised that he got that win over Maxim, but at the end of the day, though, I know who this guy is, and he looks terrified out there to me. I mean, you want to know how many distance strike attempts this guy throws per minute? It's 4.86. Now, if you do just a little bit of math, that tells you that this guy only throws a strike, only throws one, not to mention landing one, only throws one every 12 seconds. Now, I don't want to ruin the show, but I could sit here and count to 12 to show you how absurd it is to suggest that somebody over a long stretch of 3 UFC fights would throw that few amount of strikes. But Mitch Raposo does jack shit. He does absolutely nothing except for feint. He will feint and he will move and he will run away from you for the entire fight and not do shit. And that hope that he can land one more heavy strike than you. So this guy is going to fight on the absolute thinnest of margins possible. Now, when you see him fighting on the Northeast regional scene, which is extremely low level, you're going to see him absolutely destroying guys, knocking them out. They're stiff. They look like they're going to die. And you're like, holy shit, Mitch Raposo's got power. But those guys are tomato cans. And when you see him come up here to this level, dude, do you know how many significant strikes he landed in the Sue Maderji fight? And I know that that's a brutal matchup for him. I mean, Sue is gigantic, right?
It was a tough matchup for him. I want to say like 42.
No, I think he landed less than 10. Mitch Raposo landed 9 significant strikes over 15 minutes. Yeah. He sucks. He refuses to throw offensive volume. He tries to slow down the fight and run away from the fight. And now he's getting another guy in Nascimento who's going to be much longer than him, much taller than him. So I see him kind of just running away the entire fight. I think the best bet for any Mitch Raposo fight is an over, because you can sit back and know that he's going to run away for 15 straight minutes and maybe try a couple of takedowns. He will try to hurt you every once in a while, but this guy's lack of volume is maddening. I mean, when you're landing 1.58 significant strikes per minute, that's pathetic. That's pathetic, dude. That is 23 significant strikes over a 15-minute fight. So, I mean, if I were Mitch's coach, I'd tell him, hey, look, I understand we're 1-2 and you don't want to be 1-3, but if you want to have any chance of getting re-signed at all, you better fucking try to knock this guy out this time. Maybe go out on your shield. Maybe actually care about the fans and what they're seeing, because his fights have been fucking awful. And all Nascimento needs to do, I mean, when you saw Jake Hadley go out there and get one takedown and immediately take this guy's back and choke him out, I know Mitch was young and he's going to be improving, but I don't know. Where is this guy even training? Is he still training at New England Cartel?
I believe.
And I mean, he's going to lose. He's going to lose.
I believe he is still at the New England cartel. Let me just double check that here real quickly if we can find. I've got his Instagram up right here. Oh no, he's at Extreme Couture, Wheezy.
Oh, for shit. Then he's going to do even less. I think now we can maybe expect him to throw 3 significant strikes per minute.
He's got video up with Coach Nixick himself scoring
flank left,
holding the pads.
Feint, run away. Oh, God. Next fight, please.
I got to tell you, I like the move to Extreme, I must say. But
it's a step up. Anything's a step up from the New England cartel.
It's hard to step down from there at this point, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it rolling, you guys. Next up, we got some women's MMA. JJ Aldrich takes on Jamey-Lyn Horth. And JJ Aldrich is somebody, Wheezy, who I have always had a reluctant respect for. She is not the most physically gifted fighter you have ever seen. She's one of my classic women's MMA fighters that I just fall in love with. She's a hard worker. She's very technical, but she wasn't touched by God. You know what I mean? She doesn't have that explosive power. She's not a freak of nature. She doesn't have massive muscles. She just worked really hard, and it's gotten her to this level, and it's awesome to see her win. She's a very good wrestler. She has a low base. She's hard to take down. And I remember she ruined my night back in 2022 because she boxed up Jillian Robertson. Jillian could not get in there to take her down and was forced to contend with this girl on the feet. And even though she's got pillow fists, she's not going to knock anybody out. She basically had the fight locked down because there was nothing Jillian could do. So she's tough to grapple. She has gotten submitted, but it was Erin Blanchfield, who's a freaking monster, right? She got out hustled by Veronica Hardy, but you got to be faster than her to pull that off. Jamey-Lyn Horth is not that. Jamey-Lyn Horth from Canada, 9-2, 36 years old. Frankly, she is on the run of her life right now. She's on a 2-fight win streak, and Wheezy, she just emphasized that win streak with the biggest KO of her career.
Consistent is definitely the word. Oh, nice sprawl there.
Lands 2 big rights. That one was powerful from Horth. Red in danger of getting knocked down.
Yeah, this.
Horth hammering away hard for the finish she was looking for, and she
busted her face up. Teresa Bleda really gassed herself trying to take down Jamey-Lyn Horth, and then Jamie put a beating on her when the tables turned. So she is coming off the best performance of her life. She beat Vanessa Demopoulos, who we talked about, Wheezy. She will take bottom position. She'll play jiu-jitsu off her back. She's not the most offensive wrestler. So that was an easy layup win for her. Her losses, split decision to my girl Veronica Harvey, lost to Miranda Maverick, who's just a little bit better than she is, a little bit better of a wrestler than she is, younger than she is. Same exact type of fighter, just a little younger, just a little stronger. She's pretty much beating everybody else, though. We always talk about it. Physicality in women's MMA is a cheat code, Wheezy. She's just bullying these girls. I don't know if she can bully JJ Aldrich. That's kind of my hang up here on this fight. She's fighting the best of her career, but is she going to be able to do to JJ what she did to her last couple girls? Can she outbox JJ? No, I don't think so, Wheezy. Can she out physical her? Maybe. Is she going to take down JJ Aldrich 8 times in this fight and rack up 9 minutes of control? I'm pretty sure she's not doing that. I am very tempted on JJ to spoil the show here. She's 3 years younger. She's got a speed advantage. She's got a boxing advantage. It's never pretty. It's going to be a greasy decision where you got to count on the judges in Canada scoring for the right person, Wheezy, and that's not a great prospect. But for me, this is dog or pass. I think this is selling Jamey-Lyn Horth at her highest possible value because I can't see it going up much ever from this point in her career. She's not going to beat the top contenders of this weight class, and she's getting older. She's just going to decline as we proceed here. She's not going to get better at 38 years old. So I'm kind of tempted to see JJ do the same thing she did to Jillian here. What about you?
Yeah, JJ's obviously got a lot more experience, 10 more pro fights, 10 more UFC fights, like 150 more minutes of UFC cage time against a much better level of competition, obviously. Well, not that much better, but I've got JJ ranked higher in my strength of schedule rankings, 21 out of 38 in the flyweight division compared to 29 for Horth. But the problem here is that we haven't seen JJ very much.
Mm-hmm.
She only fought once in 2024. She only fought once in 2025. And she's bringing a 13-month layoff into this fight. So that worries me against somebody like Horth, who could just actually walk you down, put you in that clinch, and wear on you. And I like to keep those clinch striking numbers because certain types of matchups, having those significant clinch strike numbers really means something. With JJ Aldrich, she's landed 102 significant clinch strikes, which is great. She's absorbed 151, which isn't great. And Jamey-Lyn Horth, who's been in there against some big, strong fighters, right? She's landed 74 significant clinch strikes and only absorbed 37. So not only does she have like a height and reach advantage at range, she's got that physicality advantage in the phone booth when this fight is up against the fence. I think Jamie might be a little bit more likely to offensively wrestle, but JJ Aldrich is going to be difficult to take down. So I like JJ Aldrich's striking. She'll be faster than Jamie because I think everybody in the division is faster than Jamie. I think Frankenstein is actually faster than Jamey-Lyn Horth, you know. So this is going to be a good spot for JJ to use that southpaw boxing that she has in and out of range, make Jamie kind of chase her a little bit, use that big cage. She's going to need to use that because she does not want to be trapped up against the fence against Jamey-Lyn Horth, because that's where Jamie's going to do her best work. That's where she's going to get JJ's arms to fill up with blood and maybe slow down those punches so that they approach the slowness of Horth's punches. So it's going to be an interesting stylistic matchup here. But I'll tell you one thing, man. If you're on JJ Aldrich, you're either going to win by decision or not at all. And you're going to need to win a decision in Canada. And let me tell you something, like, there are corrupt countries in the world, you know. When it comes to MMA judging, if you're not Canadian and you're fighting a Canadian in Canada, good luck when those scorecards are being read. I mean, good luck.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. 1,000% Wheezy. Now, I'm just doing some light Instagram stalking here, trying to figure out the layoff here for JJ. And I'm not seeing anything, man.
Let me see if she's had any fights that were canceled, because that's always something that can tell you whether there was. So
I think
Karine,
she had one.
Yeah, she was supposed to fight in Chicago against Karine Silva. So JJ got injured about 2 or 3 weeks before that card. So I don't know what the injury was, but that's the reason for the long layoff. And the last win is against Andrea Lee, who I think has lost something like 7 or 8 fights in a row.
Oh my God. That fight drove me nuts, Wheezy, because I was like, look, Andrea Lee is busted. She is broken. She is bad, but she wins this fight. Even at like 80% of herself, she wins this fight. And of course she went out and lost the damn thing and cost me money again. Andrea Lee is one of the greatest regrets of my entire life. I lost way too much money on that girl. JJ coming off of a loss in Canada, or coming off a injury in Canada, is a giant red flag. You guys know what happens when we go to Texas. Shit hits the fan in Texas. Canada's not much better. We see some crazy scorecards. Horth could win this thing via decision just by being the hometown fighter, but I fully expect JJ to have the better hands. If we stay striking, she should score more. It's just going to come down to those judges. This one is destined to go the 15, Wheezy. So Let's move it along. Next up, we are sticking around. It is ladies' night yet again. We're talking about Melissa Croden and Darya Zheleznyakova. A much more interesting fight, Wheezy. A much more interesting fight, in my opinion. So Melissa Croden is 7-3, 35 years old. Another one of these weird old-ass women's MMA prospects that's making it to the UFC at the end of their run. She's 1-1 in the UFC from LFA, and she fought a bogus level of competition, Wheezy. I thought she was just shit when she made it to the UFC, because I was like, there is no chance this girl is any good. One of the softest runs pre-UFC I have ever seen. And then being 35, getting up to this level of competition? Nah, we ain't about that. So I went to war with Tainara Lisboa, who I overestimated, Wheezy. I overestimated Tainara Lisboa greatly. It
So
seemed.
did I. She beat Ravenna Oliveira, who's absolutely awful, and she looked good there. And I was like, that was a pretty good. It turns out that anybody could beat Ravenna, so yeah, that's what happened there.
It's the meme, Wheezy, where you tip over one little tiny domino, and then the domino that's like the size of the house falls over. I overestimated Ravenna Oliveira. Lisboa beating her confirmed that I was on this girl, and I overestimated them both from that point forward. So now we know. But she got in there and she tried to fight her ass off against Melissa Croden. And right at the moment where I was like, okay, here we go. Croden is a big muscly bitch. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. That is not an insult, by the way, people. Right when I was like, okay, all that muscle is going to start being attacks. That's now going to become an issue. She's going to get tired. She's going to gas out. She's going to slow down. Lisboa got tired. Right at that moment, it was like, okay, moving that big, strong, physical woman around the cage took its toll on her, and she slowed down. Crowden got on top. She caught the second wind, and then she just went to work. And it was like, fuck. So I felt like I had the strategy. It was right there. Lisboa just couldn't pull it off. So in Crowden's next fight, she gets Luana Santos, who I have admittedly been a little too mean on. And she just did what she needed to do. She showed some big improvements. She did the right stuff. She went 3 of 7 on her takedowns, and she racked up 9 minutes of control time. It was exactly what I thought Lisboa was going to do to her. So she's a BJJ brown belt. I still kind of think she might be chopped, man. I just don't know that she's any good. I think she's a size bully. I think she's strong. She can wrestle. Don't get me wrong. She knows how to wrestle, but I don't think she's good at the UFC level. Now, Darya, 10-2, she's 30 years old. She's in her prime, 2-1 so far in the UFC. Won her debut against Montserrat Rondon, soft fight, and then got smoked by Aileen Perez. Now, I lost on that one because that was in my fade Aileen stage of my life that I regret greatly, where I was just betting anybody I could against Aileen Perez because I wasn't convinced on her. So I lost money there on that one, but she bounced back in her next fight basically immediately. She got her next win, got her hand raised the last time we saw her against Melissa Mullins, who is another tough, strong, physical grappler. I mean, another, questionable level of competition, but very physical. That's kind of what we're looking at here. The problem with Darya is she's an incredible striker, Wheezy. She's really rangy. She's really long, but she likes to hit people in the face. She can put some stank on her punches. She's a good striker. She's just a little baby on the mat. She's never spent a day in her life doing jiu-jitsu or wrestling. She has no idea what she's doing on the ground, and that's become obvious in her losses, right? Melissa Mullins, the first time she fought her, whooped her ass and TKO'd her in the first round. So she got her vengeance. She evened the score in the last fight. She looked good doing it. And I got to pray, Wheezy, that preparation for that fight, seeing the hole in her game after Aileen Perez took her down and treated her the way she did as well, she's been working on that grappling. She's been working on that takedown defense. She's been working on that get-up game. And, if you look, she doesn't post a whole lot except for her modeling photos. She's exactly what the UFC is looking for. She's very marketable. She's very good looking. So you're not seeing training photos and stuff like that left and right, but you are seeing a lot of, very enticing photos. The only photo she's got is her outright going, hey, working on her grappling, right? So she is at a gym right now focused on working on her grappling, and the coach straight up called it out. Wheezy, that is all I needed to see. I think Darya is somebody who the UFC is interested in. I think Melissa Crowden is not. I think Melissa Crowden is a body who's just filling space on a card, whereas Darya is somebody who they like and somebody who's going to put up highlights. I think she's going to whoop this girl's ass. I think when Crowden does get tired from missing takedowns this time, she will slow down. And I think Darya is going to knock her out. I'm going to look for the KO prop, Wheezy. I like the money line. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, of course, it's the greasiest, nastiest women's MMA fight on the card. Don't fade shit with shit, but I'm doing it anyway. That's the Link Memorial Dog of the Week. We're going with Darya Zheleznyakova and trusting that she's got some kind of get-up game and can make Melissa Crowden tired and then whoop that ass. What are you doing here, Wheezy?
So I still need to tape this fight, but I bet against Darya Zheleznyakova in her last fight against Melissa Mullins, and it was one of the most air-punching, want to put your head in the oven, laying juice on a fighter, like bets that you could have ever possibly made. Melissa Mullins essentially threw that fight. I'll just say it because that's what it is. When you fight in the only way possible that is going to let your opponent win, that's the same as fixing the fight and throwing the fight. And I believe that Melissa Mullins threw the fight by refusing to grapple against Darya Zheleznyakova. And the evidence that I have of that,
the UFC that I have of that, wait a second. These days.
What's that?
The UFC is getting in people's ears these days.
Yeah, and I don't care. Like if somebody told me, if I was a UFC fighter and somebody from the UFC came to me and told me, we don't think you should wrestle, I would probably take that guy down and punch him in the face about 6 or 7 times. Say, how do you like my ground and pound?
Verna Janjanova said, suck it. And she went out there and won her fight.
Yeah, exactly right. And, that's what happened with that last fight, because not only did Melissa know that she could grapple her, she had fought her before. She had felt her hands on the feet. She almost got knocked out by her and fought her again and gave her the only chance to win the fight that she could have had. So I think Melissa Croden's going to clinch up with Darya. I think she's going to wear on her. I think she's going to try to grapple her. And I think that her striking isn't half bad. I think that she can be competitive on the feet against Darya, but she needs to understand that she needs to grapple here. And Darya is somebody who spent about 70% of her UFC octagon time at distance striking range. That's what she's going to want to do in this fight. Melissa only 40%. So I think it's going to be about phase control. I think it's going to be about what distance this fight takes place at. And the longer it stays in the center of the cage, the more it favors Darya. The longer that it winds up taking place in a phone booth, I think you're going to see Croden landing the better clinch strikes, looking to wear on Darya, looking to get takedowns. And if she gets on top of Darya, it probably is not going to last long, because Darya's ground game is hot ass. It's terrible. So
it is.
I think that this might be a little bit of recency bias on Zheleznyakova, where people aren't realizing that Melissa Mullins essentially fixed that fight by agreeing to strike with her.
Weezy, you raise a valid point, folks. Let's put a pin in the dog of the week. I want to rewatch that one. I didn't get a chance to rewatch. You guys know every single week, a couple of the fights get left on the cutting room floor because we just don't have time to watch every single one of them. Shocker. The women's MMA decision is the one that I decided not to go back and rewatch. So I will go back and I will rewatch that fight, and I will then make my opinion on whether or not Darya is going to truly be the Link Memorial Dog of the Week or not. I am reserving my right to change that pick to being somebody else later in the week. Okay, you guys? So cut me some slack on that one. The Diet, my boy, says burn this dog of the week. Oh, I don't think he doesn't mean burn my pick. I think he means Gilbert Burns.
Yes.
Which
yes.
we will get to. We will get to, my friend. We will go ahead and talk about that. And Andy saying, do any of these women have OnlyFans? For research purposes, of course. And my friend, I can't answer that question for you. Although, which, by the way, maybe this is a good time to pitch this one. The door is closed. Wheezy, I thought it would be a fun content idea for me, a married man who's an MMA fighter, to go through and rate the UFC's OnlyFans content. And then, whether it be professional or otherwise, burn some money that I can write off for tax purposes at the end of the year. And then give the people what they truly want. And that is a tier list of the OnlyFans content that you can get at the UFC. Give me some feedback, you guys. After the show, get in the comment section. Let me know if I need to do that one or not. It might take some convincing. I don't know if the wife is going to go for it, but I thought it'd be funny. So we'll see if I pull that one off.
You might have some people asking to help you with the research on that.
See, the thing is, Weezy, I'm like a politician. I need a petition, right? I need people saying this is what we want. Because if it's my idea, she's got the wrong idea. I have yet to ever sign up for, I don't have an OnlyFans account, right? So I've never done anything like that. I don't have any interest in doing anything like that. Between you and me, you guys, porn is free these days. Like if you really you got that itch, you can find what you're looking for. You don't need to pay somebody for it. But I was like, that'd be really funny. I think I can make a great piece of content out of doing that. But I don't know if the wife will go for it. So if I get just 1 million of you in the comments saying I need to do it, I can show her. Be like, look, see, they want. It was Weezy's idea, actually.
There you go.
All right, guys. Next up, we've got Tanner Boser, and he welcomes UFC newcomer Gokhan Saricam. How am I saying that? Saricam. Oh, thank you, Weezy. That's one of those ones where I read it and it sounded different in my brain before I said it with my lips. Tanner Boser's back, people. Tanner Boser is back in the UFC. He's one of these fighters, Weezy, that got the rare cut off of a win, which I always kind of felt for him a little bit on that one. I thought he was doing enough. He's always in fun fights. He likes to box. He's got decent hands. He's got 12 wins by KO. And it's like, why did they cut this guy? Now, maybe it was a contract thing. Maybe he thought he was going to get paid better elsewhere. With his posts and stuff like that, I kind of don't think so. I kind of feel like he got shafted a little bit. The issue is he's a quick boxer at heavyweight. So guys don't want to strike with him. So he ends up getting taken down a lot. And he's basically heavyweight Chris Curtis. He bitches about everybody taking him down. If you wrestle this man, which is the obvious path to victory, he's going to give you an earful about it. And then he's going to complain about the decision. And he lost a split to Ilir Latifi, which, to be fair, I actually had money on him that night. I was complaining about that decision too. But that's just what's going to happen. If you can wrestle, you can beat Tanner Boser. End of story. Now, if you give him a fun fighter, if you give him a good mid-tier striker, he's going to go out there and he's going to put on a fight of the night. He'll bang it out with pretty much anybody, but they just never did that. This guy knocked out Rafael Pessoa. This guy knocked out Felipe Lins. He knocked out Ovince St. Preux. Like, he's fun to watch, man. So keep him around. I'm glad he got another shot. I'm glad he's back in the UFC, but be fully prepared, you guys, that if his opponent can wrestle, you're never going to hear the end of it. Speaking of, Gokhan from Turkey, 11-2, 35 years old. This man is a Bellator veteran who's making it to the UFC. He got signed by PFL after the Bellator rebrand situation, but he, for whatever reason, never made it to the cage. He had 2 scheduled fights. His opponent withdrew from one. He withdrew from the other. Now he's in the UFC. So is what it is. This guy's got pop in his hands, Weezy. 8 wins by knockout. Big power, big looping punches, likes to maraud his way forward and just rip hooks at people. He hits really hard, and his ground and pound is nasty. The other thing is he's got hips on him. Like, I've seen people trying to take him down. His sprawl is fantastic. So this might be exactly the kind of guy that can go out there and have a fun fight with Tanner Boser. However, I also think he will have a very obvious wrestling advantage. So he could go out there and he could take down Tanner Boser if he wanted to a couple of times. So welcome back, Tanner. We're going to give you just the worst case situation for your first fight back with the organization. Gokhan is a -155 favorite. Tanner Boser is +130. The Bellator products that have rolled over to the UFC recently have not been doing well. I will tell you guys that. So it's a little scary to think about laying chalk on a guy coming into the UFC from a lesser show, but at the same time, Tanner Boser's like a, just better than 500 UFC fighter. It's not like he's the best guy out there or anything like that. So I kind of feel like this is a favorite or pass spot to me. Tanner's chomping at the bit to get back in the UFC, but he's still the same guy. This Gokhan dude, he looks nasty. I feel like he's going to win moments by hitting harder. And then if he needs to, he can wrestle. So that parachute pull, that emergency ripcord of being able to put this guy on his back, I think I like Gokhan a little bit here, Weezy. What about you?
Yeah, and I've seen him get a couple of takedowns, right? And if you can do that you can potentially just win a round against Boser in a close fight, and it might be enough to get your hand raised on the scorecards. So, and Saricam's a good striker too. So I think that this is going to be a pretty close fight while it's on the feet. Boser obviously has fought the better brand of competition, beaten the better brand of competition. And when you look at Saricam's last 2 fights, he's fighting nobodies in garbage regional scene organizations where they're actually pay-per-views. So it's like these guys. I looked at these guys' records. I was laughing. I'm like, how is this guy taking these fights? It doesn't make any sense. So that's the most 2 recent fights. The win before that is against Daniel James in 2023. And then, man, oh man, I made the mistake of watching the Oleg Popov fight. If you guys have not watched that fight yet, please don't watch it. It makes a Mitch Raposo fight look exciting. This guy Popov is a crotch sniffer, held him against the cage for 15 full minutes and literally did no damage. Had to be one of the shittiest fights I've ever seen. If you want to hear just a crowd booing for 15 minutes straight and you want to lose 15 minutes of your life, please go watch Gokhan Saricam versus Oleg Popov. But I mean, I feel like I need to do more research, but I also feel like at the same time, it would be a waste of time because I think that these guys are pretty well matched. They're both pretty good strikers. Neither one of them is known for winning minutes or moments with their grappling that much, but I think Saricam might have a little bit of upside there. And then I watched Tanner Boser's most recent fight. He fought UFC veteran Vinicius Moreira, who's 0-4 in the UFC. He was a 205-pounder, and it didn't go his way in the UFC for Vinicius, so plan B for him was to take all the steroids, put on 50 pounds of muscle, move up to heavyweight, and then become a professional punching bag.
The single chinniest fighter the UFC has ever put in that cage, Weezy.
And Boser beat the brakes off of him for 12 straight minutes before his corner threw in the towel. The chinniest guy I've ever seen, he took all the steroids and he's not chinny anymore, and he just became a 250-pound heavy bag. It was hilarious. Boser didn't miss with anything that he threw. He didn't miss. Like literally, this guy Moreira, everything landed. It was horrific to watch. So it's hard to know where either of these guys are right now. This feels like a very high variance fight. But if I would probably rather play Boser here. I think he's just got an experience advantage, a strength to schedule advantage. I think he's the more functional UFC level fighter, but this is a tricky one, man. Neither one of these guys has done anything of any note recently, which makes it very volatile.
Yeah, for sure. It is a weird fight. So Weezy and I leaning on opposite sides here. Not one that's going to get my money, though, for all the reasons that we went over here. Next up, you guys, we've got the return of Rob Valentin, and he takes on Julian LeBlanc. You guys know I've got a special spot in my heart for Robzilla. The nickname is fantastic. The guy played a little too much God of War, and he got the runic tattoos all over his body. He looks like a creative character in any video game you've ever played when you were 14 years old. Dude is fun. 10-6, 31 years old, 0-3 in the UFC. Weezy, he's ass. he's ass. Coming off a brutal split decision against Torres Finney, which goes Spectation Sports. I'm glad Torres got that decision, but it was a questionable decision at best, right? Torres was hanging on for dear life. They would reset them, and then he would just bully him back up against the fence and hold him up against the cage. It was awful. Now, saying Torres won that fight is just about as bad as this guy losing that fight, right? Like, it was an awful fight, and if you're in that kind of a situation, you should have been able to do enough to get the win, but Rob could not. He relies on being opportunistic. He swings for the fences. He has a tight squeeze, good back takes, but really that's it. Like, this guy's a brawler. He's fun to watch. He's an entertaining fighter, but he's not going to win at the UFC level very often. Julian LeBlanc, 10-2. This guy is super awkward, Wheezy. Long, lanky. He's a soft body. He's got that ring around the gut like he's wearing a little floaty tube, right? Out of shape. Like, I don't know what he's doing. He's a Muay Thai striker. He works well in the clinch. Big body kick. He uses those like side oblique kicks to try to kind of push you and reset the range. He does have an active lead hand. I will say he kind of like glides away a little bit. I like the way he can do that. He's good space control, but he's willing to accept that back foot. He's willing to walk backwards in his fights. And I feel like that's probably something that can lead him to losing moments that he otherwise maybe would be winning. He's another 34-year-old Canadian that is like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, there's no way this guy belongs in the UFC, but we're in Canada and they needed a body. So here we go. He gets his UFC debut. We see this guy's trash. Like, I don't know what we're doing here. He's beating guys that are 6-4, 5-4. Like, he's losing to guys. Okay, so Bowman, the guy he fought Bowman was 3-1 when this guy lost to him, okay? He's 7-4 now. So, like, it looked like a good record that you're like, oh, maybe, you know what? He got to step up against a prospect, and maybe that was a good fight that's respectable. No, that dude sucks too. But in that fight, you could see the difference between a professional fighter that might be going places and a guy who's rolling off the couch with a beer and a cigar in his hand. Like, Bowman looked like he was a weight class bigger than this guy. He was muscled the way an MMA fighter should be. He was ripped up, and he could take him down anytime he wanted to. Easy. That was really the big thing. This guy doesn't have hips. He has no way to stop takedowns. He got put on his back multiple times. Wheezy, Rob Zilla can win this fight. This guy is not an athlete that is the caliber of a UFC fighter. He's fought nobodies. And while, yes, he is a better Muay Thai striker than Rob Zilla, what else is he better at? Like, Rob is going to walk through this guy's punches. I guarantee you, Rob is just going to walk through this disrespectfully. This guy is not going to hurt Rob on the feet. And then Rob can take him down, and I promise you Rob can tap this guy out. Don't fade shit with shit. Wheezy, I want to bet Rob Zilla so bad, but he's 0-3 in the UFC right now. He's a small favorite in this fight. Rob Zilla has been moved to -120, -125. You can get his opponent for +105 at this point, +115. No, Rob is -135 now. So the money is coming in on Rob. I'm not crazy. Other people are seeing it too. What do you make of this fight, Wheezy?
Yeah, it's tricky because LeBlanc is one of these 3 fighters that just got signed to the roster, not because he's out there doing phenomenal things, but because he's from Canada, and they had a card in Canada where, you know, Kyle Nelson just fought, Jourdain's brother's hurt, Jillian Robertson just fought, you know, like, yeah, your big Canadian fighters weren't really available for this card, so we get the Gremlin Siraj signed. We get Tanner Boser brought back to the UFC. We get this guy, Julian LeBlanc, who's a Pat Nod Kung Fu guy. You know, this is where Mark Barrio came out of. And he's got that traditional martial arts Kung Fu style. Kicks, southpaw stance, good knees up the middle, good heavy body kicks with the rear leg, a lot of head kicks with the rear leg. And, like, if you watch the Darian Weeks fight, the problem with LeBlanc is he's not very physical, man. Like, Weeks is just holding him up against the cage, making him grapple. And then at the end of the 3rd round, LeBlanc lands one big knee, busts open Weeks' face. I mean, like, he had lost 13, 14 out of the 15 minutes of that fight up to that point and wound up winning the fight because he got a doctor's stoppage because of the cut that the knee caused against Weeks. The guy, Ryan Rohovich, which is the most recent fight, that dude took the fight on like less than a week's notice because LeBlanc's original opponent pulled out. So what I saw was a guy who's getting wins in unified MMA, a guy who's getting wins in samurai MMA, a guy who's getting wins in hybrid pro series. But when he steps up and takes a fight in TKO, he loses. When he steps up against a 3-1 guy in LFA in 2021, he loses a unanimous decision. So I don't even know. I mean, like, who's this guy's best win? Is it Darian Weeks? Is it the Alabama Hammer, Mark Colker? You know, I don't know who it is, but it's definitely not a UFC level win, I wouldn't say. And even the Weeks win, who was a UFC fighter, that guy fought at 170. This fight was up at 185. And like I said, he was winning that fight. He was winning every round of that fight up until that point. So I don't know what to think of this LeBlanc guy, but at the same time, his opponent is not exactly somebody that I'm running to the window to bet in Valentin. I bet Valentin against Loader. And,
I did too.
And I was like, dude, how did he not finish that choke? And then I found out the reason he didn't finish the choke was because he got his arm broken by the first kick that Loader threw. So he wasn't able to cinch the choke up because his arm was broken. So and then he goes out there. I bet on Torres Finney against him, cashed there, but that was a terrible bet because that was like a 50-50 fight at best. And
our betting history lines up perfectly on Rob Valentin.
Yeah, it's been bad. And then it's embarrassing, but I backed him against Ateba Gautier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. You know why? Because Gautier's never done anything outside the first round. We just saw this guy go to decision with Pulaev. So, like, these unproven African fighters who are fun, like, oh, the guy's got a great body. Look at all that shit. Like Josias Musasa, like the other guy on Dana White's Contender Series from the Congo who gassed out after 3 minutes. These guys, they look like explosive fighters, but the reality is they don't know how to fight yet. So I'm willing to take shots on more experienced fighters sometimes at like plus 500, plus 600. I'll take a small shot, but I felt like a moron. He didn't even shoot a takedown. I mean, like, really? You're not even going to shoot a takedown against that guy? You want to stand and strike with that guy? And I mean, like, he looked so good on The Ultimate Fighter. He looked like he was going to be a real prospect. And I mean, he got into the UFC and turned the tables and showed that he is not UFC level at all. So, boy, I am staying away from this one, man.
Man, this is... I'll be honest with you, Weezy. I am tempted on this one, even though I'm not supposed to fade shit with shit. I am so tempted on this one just because this guy is such ass. There's no way he wins a UFC fight. Like, I don't know how it's possible that this guy could win a UFC fight. And then you've got, Rob, if nothing else, is a bully. He's a physical guy. You know what I mean? He's a big dude. I want to see the face-offs. I want to see how they size up. But I've got a feeling that Rob might look like he should be a weight class up from this guy. And frankly, this is a women's MMA fight, Weezy. That might be all you need. I think he can really just bully this guy around the cage.
He might be able to, man. I mean, LeBlanc's got a lot to prove. His wins are really not UFC level. So,
and we'll see. Weezy, there's a world where Rob Valentin is 2-1 in the UFC.
Yeah, no kidding, right? If he doesn't get his arm broken by that kick, he probably finishes the rear naked choke on Loder. And that fight against Torres was close. Yeah.
And let's be real. If you're getting that kind of a position on a grappler the caliber of Loder, you can get it on this guy.
Yeah.
I'm calling it right now, you guys. Rob Valentin by sub. I got to apologize to Tim in the chat because he laughed at me for saying don't fade shit with shit and immediately say I'm a better shit fighter. It's happening again. You guys, I can't help myself. They call me a degenerate for a reason. I am a complete degen and I can't help myself. I like Rob Valentin this week. Minus 135. I think I got to do it.
Give it a shot, man. You're a braver man than I. I am not touching that one.
No, Weezy, I'm a much dumber man than you.
There's a fine line between daredevil and dumbass, and we all know that. It's a very, very fine line, and it can be. You gotta walk it sometimes.
Bravery and stupidity are two sides of the same coin. All right, guys, let's go. Dennis Buzukja, and he takes on. Oh boy, here we go. Márcio Barbosa. Weezy, this should be a really fun fight. So you guys, up until this point, we've had some weird matchups. We've had maybe it's fun. We'll have maybe some takedowns. We got a couple women's MMA fights that are destined to be split decisions. This one's gonna be a banger, okay? Dennis Buzukja, 12-5, knows nothing but walk forward and swing. This guy just wants to get in the pocket. He just wants to throw hands. That's really all he does, okay? He is 28 years old, 1-3 so far in the UFC. His last loss was a split to Francis Marshall, which I was a little surprised. It was a split decision, Weezy. I thought it was pretty obvious that Francis had won that fight, but we got to give credit where it's due. Dennis kind of punched his way back into that fight somewhat. He started having a little success down the line. Francis was able to take him down easily to start the fight. But this guy's got good cardio. This guy's got heart. This guy throw hands. He's got a big left hook on him. And he stopped taking no for an answer and started moving forward on Francis Marshall and landing big shots. That's the kind of guy that can show off some stuff in the UFC, right? I do worry about his takedown defense. I'll always give him shit for Sean Woodson taking him down. Now, maybe that was like it's Sean Woodson. I'm surprised. I'm not expecting this guy to wrestle me or anything like that. So maybe he got him with the unexpected move there, but he's got 75% takedown defense. It doesn't look like he has 75% takedown defense when you watch his fights, but he does. Okay. So credit where it's due. My mark is 70, right? If you've got over 70% takedown defense, I can trust you to defend some wrestling. That's really how I like to say it. So at 75%, we got to give Dennis his flowers. His opponent is brand new to the UFC. Márcio is 17-2. He's 27 years old. He's coming off Dana White's Contender Series. And Weezy, this kid has crazy, vicious power. I mean, it's wild. I wish I had a clip for you guys. I don't on this one. I do apologize. By the way, I got in trouble last week because some of the lesser organizations, the UFC will let me use clips for God knows what reason, but I got like slapped with copyrights and stuff like that for using non-UFC clips. So just from this point forward, you guys, I have fewer clips on the show for you this week because of that. We got a lot of guys who haven't been in the UFC or it's their debut in the UFC, etc. So apologies for the lack of exciting knockout clips for you. This guy's got plenty of them, Wheezy. 14 wins by knockout, all in the first round. His 2 losses, yeah, those are by KO too. This guy's going to be fun. He cuts the cage off well, and he corrals people with hooks. He gets in front of you, and if you're running from him, he puts you back where you're supposed to be with a big, gigantic hook to the head. He changes it up well and goes to the body to get you to drop your hands, and then he goes right back up top. I am a fan. This guy is going to be fun. Now, it seems like a death warrant for 1-3 Dennis Buzukja in this spot, and I think that's the idea. But I'm not going to lie, Wheezy. This guy having 2 knockout losses and Dennis being a type of guy that refuses to die and refuses to go down. We have seen Márcio get tagged on the chin and dropped already and knocked out twice. Why not Dennis? I mean, this is the kind of fight where minus 455 for a debuting fighter seems insane to me. This kid is young, yes. So he has that advantage. He's got a better record. Yes. He's got God-gifted power. Yes. But Dennis Buzukja is the guy with the UFC caliber experience. You know, he got sparked by Jamal Emmers, who's got some of the biggest hands we've ever seen in the UFC, right? Just an absolutely massive power striker in the UFC. That's the only time he's ever lost by knockout.
Yeah, it is. But up until that point, Emmers had no UFC knockouts, and he really only had about a 50% finish rate. So that was one situation where I got caught with my pants down. I had a finish-only prop on Buzukja because I watched that dude go through 3 rounds with that Armenian kickboxer, Bagdasaryan, on Dana White's Contender Series, and Bagdasaryan beat 7 shades of shit out of him for the full 15 minutes, and Buzukja wouldn't go away. And then Emmers comes out there and just starches him in like 60 seconds. I couldn't believe it. But that's the sport we're playing, you know? Sometimes you think somebody's got a great chin and then they go out on the first punch. Sometimes you think somebody's chinny and then they absorb everything that comes their way. It's weird that way. But this guy, Barbosa, he's terrifying, man. His pressure is intense. He's coming after you. There's no room to breathe with this guy. And like you said, one thing that I noticed from him is that this guy is phenomenal at cutting off the cage. If you start running, he will just take that sideways step and he'll kick in the way that you're moving. That's the way that judo players will sweep you. If you're moving in one direction, the judo player will sweep your legs in that direction because it's so much easier to keep somebody going in the direction that they're moving. And a guy like Barbosa, if you're running to the right, he's taking one big step to the left and either throwing that left hook or chasing you down with something from the right side that's meant to really hit you and hurt you. I think Barbosa is a lot more powerful than Buzukja, and I don't have any faith in Buzukja. You know, like I keep saying it, you know, like I hate the Northeast regional scene. I just absolutely despise it. I can't remember the last time we got somebody from Cage Titans or Combat Night or these organizations that come out of the Northeast. You know, I mean, like CFFC even has had some guys that have come into the UFC and just not looked very good. It's been a while since CFFC has brought some top level prospects to the UFC. So Buzukja getting a bunch of wins on that terrible regional scene, and his only UFC win is another just against a worse fighter from that regional scene in Connor Matthews. So I think that this guy Barbosa, whose only recent loss comes against Gabriel Santos, and he was a big favorite in that fight. You know, like even a stud prospect like Santos back in 2022 was a massive underdog to Barbosa when they fought. So it's been a while. We've been waiting for Barbosa. We knew that he was going to be making his UFC debut, and I think they're setting him up with a very winnable fight here. But Buzukja is tough, man. He's a tough, scrappy dude. He's got a good amount of experience for a kid who's only 28 years old. He's got some power. He's got some grappling. He's been in the room with some really good fighters over at Longo Weidman. So I think he can make this a scrappy, fun fight. But I think you're right, dude. These guys are going to meet in the middle, and I think they're going to swing, dude, because I don't think Buzukja is going to run away from this guy, which means that I think I like an under 1.5 here. I think somebody's going to get served.
I don't hate the under 1.5 call. And you know what, guys? What I'm going to do right now is just kind of change my positioning here on this one. Wheezy, this is a live bet situation. Because if Dennis survives the first round of this fight, if this thing gets into round 2, I think that's when you move. I want to see that he can survive this dude's pressure. I am a Connor Matthews hater, and I've done everything I can to fade Connor Matthews. So I'm with you that he's just complete ass. That's not the guy you want to hang your hat on as far as being your win in the UFC. But we've seen Dennis hang around in these fights. And like I said, the Francis Marshall, you got to give him credit for having the better gas tank, for being durable, for hanging in there and making it a fight late. If this guy punches himself out and then slows down, yeah, I might jump in. Not going to do it pre-flop, but might be looking for it live as this thing gets going. Should be fun. And yes, Dream, my friend, it should be violent. It's going to be a good one. Real quick, you guys, shout out Spectation Sports. We were just talking about them, actually. A lot of Spectation Sports fighters in action here on this card. And actually, if you guys watched the PFL, Mitch McKee just dethroned Sergio freaking Pettis. That's a Spectation Sports fighter. So they are coming up, and I keep telling you guys, you're going to see them more and more and more. Prospects are on the rise. Dana White's Contender Series is right around the corner, and LFA prelims are on Spectation Sports right now. So if you guys want fight action every single weekend, there's amateur cards, there's regional cards, you got the LFA prelims. You're going to have to do some research for Dana White's Contender Series. It's a good place to be. Get signed up, link in the description below, you guys, and I can save you some cash. Promo code DieHardMMA will save you 20% off when you sign up. And I think I said that wrong. I think it's just Die Hard. Forget the MMA. It's down in the description below. So check it out, hit that link, and let me know if you guys sign up, because I think you're going to want to be involved in the action. Speaking of Spectation Sports fighters, Wheezy, like I said, we got a couple of them this week. Gage Young is up next here, taking on Thiago Moisés. Gage Young is a Spectation Sports fighter, and he's a guy who has earned my respect over his last couple of fights, I want to say. I didn't really think a whole lot of him when he first got here, but he's 10-3. He's 25 years old, so he is still very much growing into that frame, and he is 1-1 in the organization out of FAC. He lost his fight on Dana White's Contender Series to Quillian Salkildweezy, which... give me a pass, man. You know what I mean? Like, if there's ever a fight you're going to lose, Quillian Salkild is freaking legit. This guy is wrecking shop in the UFC. He's got back-to-back round 1 finishes, and Gage took him the full 15 minutes. So, I mean, if you're going to knock the guy, it can't be for that one. So, in his bounce, he made his UFC debut, I believe, on short notice, taking on Evan Elder, and it was a moment where he was just kind of outgunned. You know, Evan Elder could hit a little harder than him. Evan Elder could wrestle a little bit harder than him. It was a tough spot to be in. Now, he bounces back against Mahashat. Mahashat might not be very good, but Gage Young looked really, really good in that fight. He's aggressive. He's got pop in his hands. I like Gage Young. I think he's a solid, serviceable fighter, and at 25 years old, he's developing really well. 6 wins by KO on his resume. Thiago Moisés, his opponent here, 31 years old, 19-9. He's really young, Wheezy. I thought he was like 35, but he's still just 31 somehow. But I'm starting to feel like he might be a shot 31. You know, he's one of these guys whose dad raised him in the sport. He's been doing MMA his entire life. He's been doing jiu-jitsu his entire life. He was supposed to be on the fast track to the contender circle. Well, guys, he's 3-3 in his last 6, and he's doing the alternating wins and losses thing. He wins a fight, he loses a fight, wins one, loses one. And now I worry about his chin, because he's coming off getting TKO'd by Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon doesn't knock out anybody, you guys. I know he's got good boxing. I know he's got decent hands, but he's not a power guy that goes in there and just rips one. And he took this guy's head off. I mean, it was a thunderous knockout. Let me remind you. I don't think I've seen Jared Gordon knock anybody out like that. It was incredible. Wheezy, the one thing I will say is that Thiago Moisés is very well-rounded. He's a BJJ black belt, and he's got nasty leg kicks. If you go back and you watch Gage Young's fights, he struggled with the leg kicks, especially against Evan Elder. Elder was able to kick his leg, and that really controlled like the space of the fight. Every time they engaged, it was on Evan's terms because he could just go to that leg kick and Gage really didn't know what to do with it. So I hope that's something he's patched up in his career. But Thiago Moisés literally has a leg kick TKO. And I wouldn't be shocked if on Saturday he gets another one. I really wouldn't, because he could just take this dude's leg off if he hasn't made the adjustments that he needs to. I think this is going to be a competitive fight, but Thiago Moisés is one of the guys I have the hardest time getting right. So I'm a little nervous about getting involved with my money on this fight because I do not do well in Thiago fights. Gage Young is a -125 favorite, which I find interesting. Thiago Moisés is the plus 105 underdog. I'm rooting for Gage. I want Gage to win. I lean towards Gage, but as we've seen recently, you guys, I have a hard time pronouncing these fighters dead. When I'm like, hey, these guys are shot, it's done, it's over, I'm usually wrong. And when I'm like, hey, this guy's not shot, he's got one more good one in him, let's roll the dice, those guys are shot. So I'm terrible, Weezy, at letting you know when a fighter really is done and when they've got more juice in the tank. And so I don't want to say that I think Thiago Moisés is shot, and so I'll bet Gage Young, because that just means he's a lock to win. You go ahead and talk to me, Weezy. Tell me the numbers, tell me the stats, let me know what I need to know so I can make a better decision on this fight.
Yeah, I think the biggest number that I can give you in this is my proprietary strength of schedule rankings in this division. I've got 100 fighters ranked, right? And Thiago Moisés is ranked number 22 out of 100, while Gage Young is ranked number 74 out of 100 in terms of the level of competition they've faced. If you look at the guys that Thiago Moisés has lost to, you're not going to be able to name me one guy on that list that wouldn't be -300 against Gage Young. Yeah. I mean, you're going, names like Beneil Dariush, Islam Makhachev. You look at the names that this guy is losing to, Benoit Saint-Denis, even Jared Gordon, Ludovic Klein. These are good fighters with really good UFC records. And he's beating lower level guys like Trey Ogden, like Mitch Ramirez, like Alexander Hernandez. He kind of ran through Hernandez and outstruck that dude. I was so close to betting Mahashate at plus money against Gage Young because it was in China, and I'm just not a believer in Gage Young yet, just because the guy has not fought a good level of regional scene competition. I love it when somebody looks phenomenal in a loss, because there is nothing that'll drive up a money line further than looking good in a loss. And people forget, you don't get any money for backing losing fighters, and that was a great look in a loss against Salkild, but he went out there and lost against Evan Elder, and he was a -240 favorite against Gage Young. So for me, if I can get Mahashate at plus 130 against Gage Young, and I was thinking about doing it, and now I can get Thiago Moisés at plus 105 versus this guy, that I think is a good prospect. Look, I think Gage is good. He hits hard. He's aggressive. He's shown the ability to get back up when he gets taken down. His grappling game is solid. But if Moisés gets him down, he's going to keep him down. If Moisés gets to a dominant position, he's going to be live to finish him. And he's going to be destroying this dude's calf on the feet. Moisés just kind of alternates wins and losses, and he's due for a win here. So I think the value is definitely on Thiago Moisés. A lot of people don't realize the levels of this division. The levels of the lightweight division, when you're ranked 50 spots below your opponent, is something that you don't want to ignore that as a bettor. Having a strong strength of schedule at the UFC level is very, very important. So I think Thiago Moisés is the side to back at plus money here. He might be shot. He's only 31 years old. He might be shot because his pro career has lasted almost 14 years. He's been doing this for almost half his life at this point. So there's going to come a point where Thiago doesn't care anymore. But he's at ATT. They're getting the South Florida sun, great vitamins, great strength and conditioning routines, great meals, great, beautiful South Florida women. So he's getting everything that he needs to potentially be good in this spot, Clint. So I'm looking for Thiago Moisés to upset. And I mean, I don't think it would be an upset, but the bookies do think it is, as they're rating Gage Young as the favorite in this fight.
I do find it interesting that they're rating Gage Young the favorite, and I think that might be troublesome. Wheezy, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're definitely not on your right mic, but you're definitely legible. We can see you. We can hear you.
Okay, so I apologize, you guys. It's a good thing I've always got this second laptop ready to go here for just these types of instances. Wheezy, I smell burning. My laptop froze, and I suddenly couldn't click on anything. And it legitimately smells like something is on fire right now in my house. So I may have just killed a laptop doing nothing but streaming the podcast here. So, fuck it. We'll do it live. Doing what I can for you guys. Sorry for the audio if it's going to be bad. Sorry, my grainy ass video, because this is not the camera I usually have to work with for anything set up here on this other laptop. So I am flying by the seat of my pants and filibustering a little bit, as you can tell, to keep the show rolling. You're probably onto something there, Wheezy. I don't want to trust Thiago. I don't want to bet against my heart. I want to root for Gage Young. But this is probably a spot where, there probably is an opportunity here. If you're a Thiago believer, if you think he's still got some juice in the tank, he's definitely the more well-rounded guy. I am worried a little bit about the chin. I am worried about the deterioration, and I hope that Gage Young is improving to the point that he can win this fight.
Yeah, we're going to find out, man. Gage is a very young fighter, and he's going to be making improvements between fights, and it seems like he's got the heart of a fighter. He's aggressive. He's powerful. He wants to hurt you, so it's going to be interesting to see how he takes this. It's a sizable step up in competition. And one other thing that I just want to mention here real quick is that Thiago Moisés was like minus 175 against Trey Ogden. He was minus 420 against Mitch Ramirez. And he's being priced in this fight similarly to how he was being priced against talents like Jared Gordon, Ludovic Klein, and Benoit Saint Denis. So that's why it's so important to look at the recent trends, to look at the recent pricing trends, to determine whether the market is getting out a little bit over their skis, overrating a young fighter on a win against a guy in Mahashate who shouldn't have been here in the first place, if we're being honest.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Next fight up, we have got Jasmine Jasudavicius, and she is taking on killer Karine Silva in what should be an awesome banger of a women's MMA fight, a grapple fest more than likely. Jazz is a bully in there, Wheezy, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. I will never forget the beating that she put on my girl.
Positionally, Jasmine has been very good. Now she's in on the back. Let's see if she can finish it. See, she's always searching for the mount.
Yeah, she keeps mounting.
I mean, it's in now.
If you remember that fight, Wheezy, it was like, holy shit, look away. Cover the baby's eyes, because you had my girl Zombie leaving a trail of blood around the canvas. Like, Jazz beat her within an inch of her life. I have no idea how she didn't get a TKO stoppage. The ref wanted to see somebody die that night. Unfortunately for Jazz, it didn't work out for her in her next fight. Not her next fight, sorry, her most recent fight. She finally got that shot at a step up. After beating some people up, after size bullying her way around against some pretty good names like Jessica Andrade and Mayra Bueno Silva, Manon Fiorot sparked the hell out of her and just put her in a on Jazz, thinking she'd be able to survive the early striking and get that bully grappling going. Didn't work out too well. Maybe if she doesn't get lit up with those early shots, the fight plays out differently, but we'll never know. She gets a bounce back opportunity here against Karine Silva, 19-6, 32 years old. So the younger fighter here, and just an A+ level finisher, Wheezy. She did show in her last couple fights. She actually can go 15 minutes, though. She's going on 4 straight decisions. She beat Ariane De Silva, she beat Diane Barbosa, and I'll be honest, that one is aging pretty well, and she showed that she can keep it together for a full 15 minutes. Now, she did get beaten up by Macy, both who are good submission defense type fighters with good offensive grappling, but I kind of shows working with here, right? If she can club and sub you, if she gets on legs, she can knee bar you, she got front chokes, she is built on the mat. Big if you're strong, if you can. This is yet again a tailor-made matchup for the Canadian Wheezy. Jasmine is one of the few people carrying the banner right now in Canada, and she is supposed to win this fight. She's a big favorite, and I want to parlay her. I really kind of do. The problem is I think it's probably a decision, right? Karine does get tired towards the end of round 3, and Jazz is showing that she wants to make statements. She wants to finish people. She is looking to put people away. So, you can't rule out like a late finish or something like that from her, but I think it's probably going to be a decision with the cardio improvements we've seen from Silva. So Jazz by decision, watch out for that knee bar, but I think she should get this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a fun fight, but I'd much rather be on the fight doesn't go to decision side than the fight goes, because Karine Silva's got sick submissions. She can tear your leg off. She can break your leg or arm in half. She can choke you out. She's got some tricky stuff that you don't usually see people going for at this level as well. And Jasmine's probably going to be taking her down because Karine Silva's got 25% takedown defense. So anytime Jasmine wants to try to take this woman down, get to half guard and beat her up, she's probably going to be able to do that. And Jasmine's never really been comfortable at distance striking range. So I think her best path is to just get takedowns, get top time, avoid the submission attempts of Silva. Make sure you don't stay too long in her guard, right? Pass over to half guard, get to side control, get someplace where you're not going to really worry about her throwing up triangles or arm bars or leg locks, and beat her up. But Jasmine's coming off of a KO loss against somebody in Mananfiro that we hadn't seen win by knockout except for when she fought Tabitha Ricci on short notice, who was up a weight class. So I don't like the fact that, first of all, Jasmine is not a good defensive striker. She's very hittable on the feet. So I could see Karine landing a KO here. I could see Karine finding a submission here. And I could see Jasudavicius just putting it on Karine, taking her down, beating her up, and maybe finding a late ground and pound finish or submission. So because it's like minus 250 for the fight goes, I'd much rather be on the violence side, because I could see paths to finishes, all 4 of them. Jasmine by KO, Jasmine by sub, Karine by KO, Karine by sub. It's going to be a violent fight, like all Karine Silva fights are. But I could see Jasmine just wearing her down over 3 rounds, finding a late finish here. So I think I'd rather play violence than the Jasudavicius money line, because I do think Jasmine wins this fight. I think that Karine Silva lost to Diane Barbosa, and Jasmine's a way better wrestler than Barbosa is. And that's where we saw Karine struggle, was she wasn't stopping the takedowns, and she was playing jiu-jitsu off of her back instead of trying to get back to her feet. So she was lucky to win that fight with a couple of submission attempts while not doing as much damage as Diane did and not having as much control as Diane did. So, yeah, I think it's Jasmine. And I could see this going to decision, of course, as well. But if you're going to give me plus 200 for fight doesn't go, or you're going to make me pay minus 260 when I see finishing paths for both fighters, I would say that I would much rather be on violence in this spot.
Okay. I like it, and that's a really good point, Wheezy. I do have to apologize again, you guys. Tim saying Clint sounds like the Wi-Fi is from Nigeria. I literally just cooked a laptop, you guys. So it smells like burning in the room right now. I'm on the wrong machine right now. So if it sounds like ass, my audio listeners, my dedicated, loving, faithful audio listeners, thank you for supporting me. I am so sorry to put you through this. And all of you guys have to look at this terrible lighting with my ugly mug on this awful camera. We're going to let Wheezy do most of the talking, I guess. Next up, we've got Mandel Nallo. I'm all twisted up here. Taking on Jai Herbert. Nallo's making his UFC debut. He is another transplant. And frankly, Dude's got some pop in his hands, Weezy.
Deep. Carrington bangs. Carrington wants to get inside of that. But you also see Nallo. Oh, he's out. Just like that. It is all over.
36 years old. Never been to a decision. 5-fight win streak, all round one finishes. He's training at a TriStar. You know, this guy was a Bellator fighter that would lose to contender-level fighters. He is aggro. He's got Darce chokes. I really enjoy watching Nallo fight. Jai Herbert is 37 years old. He's 2-3-1 in his last 6 fights. He's coming off a split decision loss to Taco, and his wins are Rolando Bedoya and Kyle Nelson. So not great as far as his strength of schedule goes. I've always found this guy to be a little chinny. You know, the time he won his entire fight and then just got bonked by an old-ass Brazilian, if you guys remember when he made his UFC debut, he got taken out in the 3rd round by Francisco Trinaldo after having a perfect performance. That's what we're dealing with. He can let the floor drop out at any point in time, and I do think he's being rolled up to Canada after his last little run here to get knocked out and welcome Nallo to the UFC. So, Weezy, I'm going to look to the Nallo side of things here in this fight, but what do you make of it?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, watching Jai Herbert's recent fights has just been absolutely awful. Like, I can't even tape the guy anymore because the Padilla fight sucked, the Bedoya fight sucked, the Ziam fight sucked, the Klein fight sucked, the Nelson fight sucked. This guy used to be the Black Country Banger. He used to go out there and look to take dudes' heads off. And he's been finished, you know, in 4 of his 6 losses. So he used to go out there looking to fight. I mean, this guy's, I mean, once again, we got a lightweight Mitch Raposo here who just does jack shit, doesn't engage, looks to clinch up and wear on his opponents. And I mean, this might be the first Mandel Nallo fight that has ever seen the scorecards, which is bizarre for a lightweight to have 18 fights and have never been to decision. That's crazy. You know, so Nallo is definitely a killer be killed fighter, but I mean, Herbert is going to avoid the fight at all costs. And I mean, we'll see, you know, I mean, he's going to be terrified to engage with Nallo in Canada. So I think this might be like a slog. You might want to bet some overs here. And it's kind of funny, right? You look at the over-unders, Clint. This doesn't make any sense, right? Fight doesn't go to decision is only minus 200. But this guy Nallo has never seen the scorecards. Not once. So why the hell is it only minus 200? Well, he's fighting Jai Herbert. That's why. Jai Herbert's last, how many fights is it? Yeah, his last 5 fights have all went to decision. So, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with this fight. I think Jai's going to run and run and run until he runs out of real estate, and Nallo probably knocks him out. But maybe he makes Nallo walk on to something too, because eventually people are going to get frustrated trying to track this guy down as he's running away from him.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, props to Tim in the chat saying he called Reyes points and goes the decision last week because the way they fight, Jai does the same thing, avoid and run. Yep. And it's fair. It's fair. And this one reminds me of that fight a lot. I warned people not to be on the unders because even though it screams under, there's a very real possibility that nobody wants to get tagged. The difference in this one, though, Weezy, is I think Nallo wants the fight. You know, yeah. It's not Agreed. 2 guys that don't want to dance. It's one. I think I want to be on the Nallo money line, and I'll probably have a taste of that knockout prop if he doesn't quite get it done inside the distance. But Jai Herbert is like Timu Leon Edwards. He has the same skill set and tries the same shit. He's just not as good, and he's less durable. So I think Nallo's going to find the chin in there at some point. I do think this is the UFC essentially sending him off for an execution.
Yeah. And being less exciting than Leon Edwards is crazy work, but I think Jai has managed to actually pull that off. You know, Brady came up with some nickname for him. It was hilarious. It was like the Black Country Boring, or I don't remember what he said. I'll have to look it up in the Discord. But
the Black Country Lamer is what I've got.
The Black Country Lamer. I'll find it here in a second. But yeah, I mean, like his fights have literally been that bad lately. So
yeah. It's been tough. All right, guys, let's move it along. Co-main event of the evening. Kyler Phillips taking on Charles Jourdain. because the Matrix is a guy, Wheezy, who could beat almost anybody in the weight class for the first 5 minutes. And he trains out of the MMA lab where they've got the best supplements known to man, and they still can't fix this man's cardio issues. He still drops off a cliff at the 8-minute mark and just can't hold it together for the length of a fight. We thought Kyler Phillips was going to be a shoe-in for the title one of these days, and he just keeps on finding ways to drop the ball. Now, the opposite side of this is Charles Jourdain is a man who's looking for blood, guts, and glory at every opportunity. This guy really just wants to get in there and try and earn his way to Valhalla every single fight. He's trying to slug it out. He's got one of the nastiest guillotines you've ever seen. He'll throw flying knees. In fact, he executed my poor guy Davy Grant in his last fight, which I tried to warn you guys. Davy Grant's my boy, and the whole world thought this was an easy Davy Grant spot. I warned you until he finally caught one and then choked him out. It was nasty.
He would say, watch the jump knee.
Big shots now as Jourdain postures up. He says his guillotine's even better. 2 minutes on the clock.
That's going to be tight. That's tight. He's done.
That's over.
He's done.
There's the tap. Charles Jourdain sending this.
When the tongue comes out, Wheezy, you know it's in. When the tongue comes out, you know he's got it. He's got one of these modified guillotines that if he sinks it in, you're just not escaping it, you guys. Yeah. So this fight is a story of early and late, in my opinion. Kyler Phillips is the much more skilled fighter. Kyler Phillips is the more well-rounded fighter. Charles Jourdain is the more aggressive fighter. He's the fighter with better cardio. So if this drags late, the more I like Charles Jourdain. If there's a finish, it's probably on the Charles Jourdain side. Kyler could get him early, let's be fair. But I think it's more than likely Charles if it's inside the distance. One that I think I just kind of want to watch. It's really tough for me to come here and say that Kyler Phillips, as the more talented fighter, should be the underdog. Right now, Jourdain is a minus 150 favorite. You can get plus 125 on Kyler Phillips. Money line, I kind of lean dog or pass, but the UFC is loving them some Jourdain brothers right now. So I got to wonder if this isn't another Nate the Train type of spot where they know something I don't, and Kyler Phillips is getting shipped up to Canada for a reason. I lean dog or pass. I'm not betting it. Maybe it's a live bet opportunity on Jourdain as the tides kind of turn deeper in the fight.
Yeah, this is a tough one to call because, we haven't seen Jourdain in 6 months, Kyler Phillips in 9 months. And, Jourdain's on a 2-fight win streak where he's finished both of those wins. Victor Henry had never been finished as a professional, and he chokes him out with a guillotine. He finishes Davy Grant, who's a tough out for anybody. And then Kyler Phillips goes into the Rob Font fight as a minus 625 favorite and gasses out after 1 round and loses. Then he goes to Vinicius Oliveira. He's a small underdog in that spot. He went from minus 625 to plus 125 in one fight, and it didn't wind up being a value spot. He still lost to Vinicius Oliveira by unanimous decision there. So I'm not sure what Kyler's good at anymore. Like he's really explosive. He's got dynamic striking, but for how long? I haven't seen this guy look great in rounds 2 or 3 in a very long time, unless it was like maybe Marcelo Rojo was the last time I saw this guy actually go out in round 3 and look like he was winning the round consistently and dominantly. Jourdain is going to be there for the full 3 rounds, but the reality is that Charles sucks at winning minutes. He's 2-6-1 to the decision. The guy's been to decision 9 times as a professional, and he's only won twice. So Charles doesn't have a great process to his game where he can lean on grappling to win minutes, or that he can go and just consistently win minutes and bank rounds with his distance striking because he's kind of hittable. Kyler's done a little bit better job of outperforming market expectations with a 10% ROI compared to negative 17% for Jourdain. But the differences in momentum going into this fight are pretty sizable, and they favor the Jourdain side. He's fighting at home in Canada. He's on a 2-fight win streak when Kyler's on a 2-fight losing streak. And I'm not sure where Kyler's that much better than Charles here. So I'm more likely to back the younger fighter, the taller fighter, the fighter fighting at home, the guy with finish upside. in Charles Jourdain, even though Kyler Phillips has never been finished as a professional. I'm not exactly sure what guys at this level that he's fought were finishing threats. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I'm not sure which way to go on this one yet.
I like it. Wheezy, I think I will hope that Kyler Phillips wins round 1 dominantly and I can jump in. I think that's going to be my game plan here, is bank on Jourdain being able to win this fight as Kyler fades. Hope he starts off strong, understanding in Canada with the judges on my side. Hopefully he slows down. And then, there's always the opportunity for Jourdain to bail me out with a finish. So I think I'll look at live betting Charles Jourdain at a plus money price tag.
Yeah, I mean, Charles has finished 15 of his 17 wins. Kyler's never been finished as a professional, but neither one of these guys are great minute winners. So, I think it's a very fascinating matchup.
Yeah. And in Canada, I always want the judges on my side. Just saying.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Speaking of getting the judges on my side, Wheezy, main event of the evening, Gilbert Burns takes on Mike Malott. And this is a really, really good fight. So Mike Malott is carrying the banner for men now. They are really, really trying to push this kid. He is a very strong grappler. He is very, very quick with his hands. He does have power. The problem is he's a guy that we have also seen the floor kind of fall out from under a couple of times. He's been fraud checked, if you will. He got sucked into the Magniverse, and in a fight that he had dominated, gave up in the 3rd round and got finished. The UFC gave him the reset button, and this is his next opportunity to climb the ladder. But let's not forget what he's capable of.
Question yourself. You got to keep the pressure on and say, you know what? I can press you up all night regardless.
Huge connection by Malott. Proper Mike Malott.
Yeah, and that aged pretty well. Radke has looked really good in his last couple of fights, and so I got to give Mike Malott props where it's due on that one, man. He's finishing people on the feet. The problem for me, questionable cardio, little bit questionable durability, and he's taking on a legend in Gilbert Burns. You guys know me. I'm the captain of the Burns train, right? We used to print money with Gilbert Burns when he was underrated back in the day. He's 22-9. He's 39 years old, and he is on a rough 4-fight losing streak. His last one coming by death against Michael Morales, who's basically a light heavyweight, by knockout in the 1st. It's been a tough road for my boy Gilbert. And I think back to the Jack Della fight, where he had won the first 10 minutes of the fight running away. And then his old man cardio came into play, Wheezy. That's the problem. Gilbert Burns is deadly early. He can still wrestle his ass off. He can still tie people into knots. He can still knock people out. But he gets tired. He slows down. It doesn't matter how much juice they've got him on. He's almost 40. And 185 pounds at 170 pounds, they start slugging on him. He just can't keep up with that anymore. I do think it's safe to say that he's washed. His last 2 wins were George Masvidal and Neil Magny. And it's been a long time since those happened. So the UFC is absolutely trying to put the nail in the coffin for Gilbert Burns, and I wouldn't even be surprised, Wheezy, if this was his unannounced retirement fight. I wouldn't be shocked if he laid the gloves down, if he gets put out badly in this one, the way he did in his last fight. And I think he might honestly be fighting a little bit scared coming off that knockout loss in his last fight. I got to pick Mike Malott as much as I hate it, and I know a lot of people are looking for the dog money here on Gilbert Burns. I truly understand it. I do. Except if you're going to make this guy Malott gas and quit, you can't have the cardio of a guy like Gilbert Burns who can give out on you in that 3rd round, which will be your precious lifeline to getting that win. I think another highlight victory on Saturday.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I mean, like, it's look, Mike Mallott's 5 years younger than this guy. For all practical purposes, he should be 7-0 in the UFC with none of those fights being close. He just made a mistake with a minute left in the fight, wound up getting taken down, and just, I don't know. I mean, like, Neil Magny, he is from Haiti. I think he's got Haitian lineage, and there's got to be some black magic going on. with what Mag. I think he's hanging out with Alex Pereira, and they're sitting around a fire doing Santeria or some shit, because Jiri talked about it twice when he got knocked out by Pereira about the black magic. And then some of these wins for Magny recently have been absolutely ridiculous. The Malott win was ridiculous. The Jake Matthews fake win was ridiculous. The Elizeu Zaleski Dos Santos, he's getting dog walked for 8 minutes, and then Dos Santos quits. There's something going on. But Burns was able to get over that black magic and beat him. But Malott could be 7-0. The guy's a really good grappler. He's a really good striker. He's well-rounded. He's got good fight IQ. His conditioning is held up pretty good, except for the Magny fight. But even that fight, he won 14 minutes of that fight. He just got put in a bad spot and didn't show the gumption to be able to get out of there. So, Burns has lost 4 of his last 5 fights, and he's a 39-year-old welterweight who used to fight at lightweight. While Mike Malott is fighting in his home country, he's on a 3-fight win streak. He's won 6 out of his last 7 at the UFC level, and he's won pretty much every minute of every fight thus far at this level. It's going to be tough for Gilbert Burns to come out here and win this fight. What does he do? Does he get a takedown and dominate him on the ground maybe? Does he land a big shot on the feet? It's probably going to be Malott. He might even be a parlay piece because there has been some money coming in on Gilbert. It's really hard in this sport to back a guy that's 39 years old and on a 4-fight losing streak. Really hard.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Weezy. I am right there with you. Unfortunately, as a guy who really has enjoyed Gilbert Burns, just as a fan, and then also betting on the guy for years, it's really unfortunate. I don't want to see him go out this way. I think it's time, unfortunately. And delivery, we're not crapping on him. We're not crapping on him, but it's just the reality of the fight game. It's a young man's game, and unfortunately that road comes to an end for all these guys eventually. We'll see what happens here. The big thing is, though, Weezy, I don't trust Mike Malott at a big price tag, okay? After seeing what happened in the Magny fight, there's no way in hell I'm laying minus 350 on him, you guys. This is a picks, not bets type of situation. I am picking Mike Malott to win this fight. You won't catch me with money on him at minus 350, okay? Absolutely not. That shot on Burns, honestly, I hope you get there, but especially in Canada, he's going to need a finish. Weezy, my friend, thank you for joining me on the show tonight. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Thank you for rolling on through them like the professional you are, my friend. If you have anything you want to shout out, shows you've got coming up where people can find you and support you, the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, appreciate you, Clint. Thanks for having me on. And in 20 minutes, I will be going live with Brady for Stat Diggers for about another 2.5 hours of breaking down this UFC Winnipeg card. So if you are a sick individual that enjoys listening to MMA talk for 5 hours on your Monday night, I suggest you join us for Stat Diggers. You can find me on X at MMA Weezy. You can find me on YouTube and Rumble as Uncle Weezy. And you can find my probability stats and content package on oddshopper.com, which is going to give you access. If you are a serious MMA gambler, it's going to give you access to a treasure trove of information on every single fight, every single week, including statistics, benchmarks, betting models, pricing models, in-depth fight write-ups. I sent you the stats package this week, Clint, as well as all my fight write-ups. Check them out, man. It's really great research, and it's a lot of great information for people that are serious about betting on this sport. So if you want to support my work, that's the best place to do it. But thanks for having me on, Clint. I'm looking forward to stacking cash tickets like flapjacks for this UFC Winnipeg card. I'm on a 2-week losing streak that's, I think, around 2 units after winning like 7 units the week before. So I need to bounce back. I'm still up over the last 3, but I want that line to be going up, which means we're going to need to stack some units on this card.
Weezy, you and me both. Not only am I coming off of a disappointing run where I've lost 3 events in a row by less than 1 unit, and I got hosed out of a win at UFC 327. Now, turkey hair transplant parlay has got to be on hold, you guys, because I got to replace a damn lap so I can buy a new machine to run the damn podcast. So, yeah, we're back against the wall here a little bit, you guys. We're going to get cut from the UFC if we don't win this one. We got to get our hand raised on Saturday, Wheezy. So I will be checking out your stack package. Thank you very much. And you guys, for sure, one of the good guys. Make sure you're supporting Wheezy. Make sure you're checking out his channel and subscribe because his information is invaluable. He is the UFC stat daddy. And if you guys want to help support me, the best thing you can do, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and please click the links. For the people who have, sponsored the show, the affiliates and stuff like that, you guys drive some traffic for me. Check them out. Get signed up at Spectation. If you're going to do something like RotoWire, use my link and my code for that. Those are the best ways that you guys can support me and help me keep this show coming to you guys live and free every single week. Appreciate the hell out of you guys. Love you guys. I'm going to get out of here because my shoulder hurts from leaning over in the chair the wrong way. Have a good one, everybody. We'll be back later on this week for all the usuals. Let's freaking roll.